The intention of justice is to see that the guilty people are proven guilty and that the innocent are freed. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are taking a look at this case from a psychological perspective.
And there's our officer, John O'Keefe, holding that glass. The last time we have visual confirmation that he's alive, one or more of these 10 people has to be the killer of John O'Keefe. That's how easy this is.
An unknown Miss McCabe had been hostile or threatening to another witness, who is a witness listed on our witness list.
Who is that witness?
Kolakithis.
We finally have conclusive visual evidence about the route that Karen Reed took to 34 Fairview, and thanks to the beautiful Corey Hopkins, we can definitively say John O'Keefe did not arrive at 34 Fairview until 12.
All these folks, guys, do not have John O'Keefe's cell phone. Everybody in this scene who is there right now, okay? We have two Canton police officers, an Officer Seraph and Officer Mullaney. We have fire department folks, we have Carrie, we have Jen, and we have Karen. They all can be ruled out. They do not have John O'Keefe's cell phone.
John makes me like this.
It is improper to try to contrast a statement written by a separate witness and confront the witness on the stand and ask whether or not there's credibility posturing between the two different people.
There's nothing improper about confronting a witness with a statement that she claims she never made. That's exactly what I'm doing. It's classic cross-examination. This is cross-examination.
Keep walking over
Still got everybody around you, right?
Go be by yourself.
And Your Honor, I gotta say, I am not comfortable with the court's instructions when I'm standing up, when I'm the one who's standing up. This court has now instructed the jurors twice on my credibility, and I don't appreciate it.
Which makes 14 interfaces with that phone over the course of 19 minutes. Is that right?
I mean, I guess I don't have it all right in front of me. Oh, shoot, I called him and then I turned it off.
But your claim is you don't remember those incessant butt dials and those incessant hang-ups at all, correct?
I honestly don't.
When human apes use the word honestly, it's generally an indicator of deception.
So this appears to be the right sneaker, but it appears to be a left sneaker.
Your Honor, if I may, these items were handled by the previous jury. I think that it's something that the jury previously handled. So I'm assuming the jury may have mismarked them.
And you'll see, even in this part where he's moving around on the phone, he's not taking 173 steps. He's also not stopping for the time in between. We know for sure that Mike Lang is walking around quite a bit, like he is right now, during the exact time he's not supposed to be moving at all. And Sean Good is doing exactly the same thing. He's following him around at this very moment.
Kolakithis from the Waterfall Bar. If I may, I'll give a copy to the court that what was provided to me during the lunch break.
When did the defense receive this information?
Today.
There's a date on it, so I'm not sure who the author is.
It's Attorney Matt Rickman.
All right, so this is April 14th. That's when this allegedly happened, April 14th, 2023.
Correct. It's very rare for a lawyer to have to object to his own questions. Your Honor, you seem to take shots at me that you don't take at anyone else.
If you thought it was a shot, I apologize. Let's go and ask the witness questions.
It is, but it's not one that I remember doing or making or did. It's not one I did. It's just one that is in a record that was misread.
Ask a tighter question if she's non-responsive.
Has to buy that. So, has to buy that. So.
And showing solidarity, you can see them there.
It's about getting justice for John O'Keefe. There clearly is an issue of integrity.
How dare they? Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday. It is our Monday noon show with my co-host, Loophole Lawyer. Hello, Loophole Lawyer. Hi, Vince.
I feel like we were just doing this nooner.
I know. Well, we were, right? That's what happens when you do one on Friday and then Monday. It doesn't feel like much time in between. How was your weekend?
How many inches did you get last night?
I don't think very many at all. Just a few, actually. Yeah.
Finally, something negative about this Adonis that you're married to or going to marry.
We're not going to go there this morning. Yes, no, my fiance is in Connecticut, and I think he's probably gotten a lot more snow than we have. But we are under a travel ban here in New York City. So my poor daughter is stuck in Florida. So, yes, there's a travel ban.
So they canceled school today for the kids in New York City, which I always send pictures of New York City to my friend in Rochester. And I say, help us. And they always laugh at our asses because we close down everything if there's 1 little inch on the ground. It's so funny. I never let snow bother me at all. I know it does prohibit people in Massachusetts from investigating crimes properly, the snow.
Of course.
But I do not let snow bother me. And here, there's really not much on the ground at all.
No, and it won't last. It'll be here just probably a few days after this because it's going to warm up probably pretty quickly in New York. But in New England, they may have it for a little longer still. So it's a little colder up there.
Yeah. Sure. So where are we going today? I mean, we're covered a lot on Friday. It's been the weekend. I'm not sure like anything crazy has come out. It's good to see. Well, actually, we do have the new documents in the FOIA request, and we saw that Corey has uploaded. I did it for her, but this is all her work. It's nothing to do with me. And it was interesting to see a high-def video of Karen and John at the bar, which I don't think we saw the entire thing at trial, but we definitely didn't see it this close. And I told Emily and you in the group that I was getting the chills watching it initially because it was really freaky to me to see how close we were to John, to see the phone that we keep obsessing over, to finally actually see it clearly, and things like that. So what was your opinion when you were watching the CF McCarthy videos?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? I had done an analysis of that video way back because the Commonwealth spent a lot of time on CF McCarthy's in the first trial because Lally used that footage to count Karen Reed's drinks. So he was very focused on it. And so because of that, we had to be very focused on it, although it was obviously not anywhere near as good a copy, which I don't understand. I don't understand why they wouldn't have used the copy that we have now. And that seems to be true in a lot of the videos, as we have 2 dash cam shots now for all of the cruiser cams, which is interesting. We have a broader perspective. You can actually see more of John when he's being attended to by EMS and then loaded onto the stretcher and then into the ambulance. You can see Jen doing her magic that morning. There's actually a lot more video footage, which is interesting to sort through. And I spent a lot of time on that this weekend because of the step counting that morning, trying to figure out who the hell has this phone in the morning. And you actually uncovered some interesting pieces. I'm sure this isn't new, but it was new to me because I just am not a cell phone expert and don't spend as much time on it. But that there are 2 sort of markers of steps, right? There's the steps and the number of steps that somebody has taken on the phone, but then there's also the distance. And that's interesting because, you have the steps, but we know, I mean, the other day or last night, Emily did an experiment where she literally put her phone under a pillow and just pushed on it and was able to create steps, right? So you can actually create steps in a variety of different ways, but if there's distance, then we know that the phone is actually moving. It's not static, right? So that actually was a really helpful discovery.
So to enlighten everyone else, Emily all of a sudden says, oh, I was laying in my bed and I was doing CPR on my phone and somehow it registered steps. Now, I know from the research that I did that it needs vibration, the phone, in terms of you walking and to get a particular cadence. So Emily's claiming she's doing this to a pillow and somehow it's registering steps. I've never seen that. I'm not sure if it's exactly what she was doing, but yeah, I can't figure out just the general step application on the phone that comes with the iPhone. Like, I want to see it in real time. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I don't have any specific app to do that. I know there are apps, so I never really cared so much about it. And the thing about this, and it's very important for people to understand with attorneys, is that we have to become experts in whatever the case is. So I don't know shit about iPhones in theory going in, but you have to learn it. And if you don't learn it, you will never be able to really advocate in a simple manner. And we see that, unfortunately, for like a David Yannetti, when he's asking about the technical aspects of it, he kind of loses it because he doesn't know it as much as he probably should have. And there's no fault to David. Again, this is trial number one. This is hindsight. This is us having sitting in our nice offices with no pressure of getting a girl off, and you know that pressure is hard. So the issue for me is you have to become an expert in whatever it is. And today we're going to a little bit focus on the route that Karen Reed took. And for some reason, I never appreciated where she went. And the beauty of that library video is you see exact timestamps of where people are. You see Jen McCabe, and then we see Karen Reed. Now, Jen McCabe crosses the library at about 12:14 and some seconds. She gets to 34 Fairview in 4 minutes from the library. If you go on Google, that's the way you should go. And that's how long it should take. And she got there exactly right. Then I'm like, fuck, well, if Karen Reed crossed at 12:16 plus 4 minutes, she should be at the house at 12:20. And then I start to panic. And this is what I spoke to you about, confirmation bias, because not only have I been saying that he arrived at 12:24, I can't figure out how, because even if you took a different route, it was only like a minute longer. So I actually told you that I started to pen Emily a sincere apology for yelling at her about the confirmation bias is so real, because like all I wanted to do was to prove, and it's funny. And then I remember I didn't even remember, like I was panicking. I was taking all the time to study it. Eventually she does pass the road. Corey Hopkins did a little graph, which is fine. She passes the turn initially, but then she makes another wrong turn and then a U-turn, and I was able to plot out the actual course she took. And ultimately what we're going to see is that it took 9 minutes from the library to 34 Canton based upon the route that she took. So then it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to apologize to Emily, because that's the last thing I wanted to do.
Well, and there's a couple other details too that actually support the 1224, right? First, if we don't have this text to verify this, I don't know why we never saw it, but right, we get this, what we know, at least from trial and from Alan Jackson verifying the timestamp of this text, that at 12:23, Julie Nagel's brother sends a text and says, here, or I'm outside, or whatever. Let's assume he sends that a few seconds before, as he's making the turn. And it's feasible to say, okay, she comes out, let's say a minute or two later. Now, we also heard, and this is weird, that she took a minute or two to arrive, to actually go outside for whatever reason, that they had been waiting there. And he actually sends a follow-up text like, we're going to leave or something. So that all makes sense. It fits with the timeline that at 12:24, they arrive. If we go based on, it had to have been between 12:23 and let's say 12:25, that they're sitting out there waiting for Julie, and would reason, it would make sense that Karen's in front of him right at that time.
Yeah, and I think that had we seen the text at 12:23, most likely it would have been something where you send the text to your sister in anticipation of her being late and coming out. So we don't know exactly where he is, but you can actually get that information if you get to his phone and you get to his actual location data, you can get the exact time. I've never seen any of that. People say that the text exists. I've never seen it, so I don't really account so much for it, but there's definitely plausible deniability that it didn't take place at exactly when he was in front of the house.
Right. Yes. Yep. But either way, I think we're talking about that window, and that is, makes perfect sense. I'm fine with 12:24 being the time that he shows up. I don't think there's anything too scandalous about that. I know there's controversy. To me, it doesn't really matter either way too terribly much, whether he shows up at 12:21, 12:22, 12:23, or 12:24. There's a couple other things that I want to make clear, because I saw just in different places people talking about this. First, I realized, I don't know why it never dawned on me before, because I've driven past 34 Fairview a few times, and there really is no place to park in front of 34 Fairview. You could maybe pull up for a few seconds the way that Karen and the way that Ricky D'Antano does, but you're not going to leave your car there. It wouldn't make sense. There is no way to do that. There's only 2 lanes. It's a very weird spot, and it's pretty highly trafficked. Now, during a snowstorm, middle of the night, fine, but I still can't imagine anyone's leaving their car there. And we know that in that driveway, there's actually 3 lanes. So there's the 2 lanes, but we know from both Matt McCabe and I think from Brian Albert or Nicole that they actually use 3 separate lanes. There's room on that right side to pull right up. So it's feasible that, there's plenty of parking at 34 Fairview for nobody to have to park in front. The other thing that I think is important, because I heard people talking about, well, she's driving really slow and, why would it take so long? So there are, and Emily reminded me of this the other day on a group chat, that there's a number of stop signs. It seems like it should be so quick, but I could also see if you stop at all the stop signs, there's stop lights all the way through. It's actually kind of a tedious drive from Washington to Fairview.
Yeah, and maybe we should go into the video then, since we're on it now. It's only a 3-minute one, but yeah, you're 100% right. It's only 3 miles, but it does take about 9 minutes according to Google. And of course, the turnaround that she had to make, and if she was stopping at the stop signs, actually they have proof. Did you find the video link?
I got it. Yep.
Okay, yeah. They have proof of Karen slowing down, John's phone slowing down and then clustering, because once he turns on Waze, it gets really sensitive with regard to the location. And there is a little silver lining for you who's frozen right now in time.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At the end, with regard to Ian Whiffen admitting that the phone does travel west from that final resting point. That's very critical, because it's not using the Waze data anymore. It's using just the phone. And I believe that's sort of what Karen Reed wanted the experts to say with regard to the phone. But the previous information with regard to John going up and down, I mean, that's a big controversy, right? There was 3 flights that were on. There were 80 steps, and we were trying to count the steps to go around the back. And that's all not relevant anymore. And if we're assuming that this information is correct. So there was a lot of energy spent on that time frame between 1221 and 1224, because we saw steps and we saw 3 flights taken.
Yeah. The other thing too, and I know this again from counting steps and trying to match data and all this, there is a small lag. So I'm not sure how important that is. I'm not sure what to make of this cell phone data. Like, how specific, how can we trust it? When there's no steps registering, for example, on that phone, does that mean the phone isn't moving? Now, some people are taking it literally, like it literally means the phone is not moving if no steps are being logged. And I'm assuming that's true based on other people's interpretations, but I have no knowledge of cell phone data, so I only have what's in front of us. And again, if you're trying to figure out where the phone is that morning, it does not line up with anybody there. Now, you could say, okay, well, maybe it's multiple people. The phone is being handed around. We also have a lot of eyes, because we do have these 4 different dash cam video footage now. We can see, for example, when Carrie's shaking out the blankets, there's no phone. We can track her the entire way. We see her going to get the blankets. We see her pick the blankets up. We see her come all the way back. So we see her throw the blankets in the back of her car. There's no phone. So it's bizarre. I will fully admit it is very bizarre. I should also just say this, because it's true. There is a moment when Michael Lank gets in that Seraph's cruiser and he says, "Is this your phone?" to Stevie. He says to Seraph. And then he turns to Sean Good and he says, "Is this yours?" Right? And he's like, "I'm gonna take a picture of it." So that's odd. Seraph's like, "I think that's his phone. I think that's his phone." So there is a mysterious phone in that cruiser that morning. I would love for it to be John's, but it just isn't lining up with the information on the phone. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't his phone. I don't know what it means. I will say this, though. it's very hard for me to believe that the Alberts would make such a huge mistake. Like, how could you possibly separate that phone from John? That is such a stupid thing to do. It would have to be the most incredible oversight. It would have had to have dropped out, right? Because obviously, whoever starts moving that phone is moving it at the exact time, almost the exact time. It's just a little lag when they pull up, right? So either somebody's in that house, wants to make it look like they are the ones that are finding the phone and starts moving around like crazy. And it's a lot of steps for that time in that space in a very short period of time, in like 6 minutes. So either they want to make it look like somebody on the scene has that phone, or somebody has it, but it's not lining up with what we actually see in terms of who's moving and where they are, and when there's no steps and when there is steps.
Yeah, I'm not even, the weird thing is, and I don't mean to put down all the work you're doing, is like, I don't even think that it's an issue to me. I think the phone's right underneath John, where it's, or even in his back pocket. I don't think anyone intentionally moved it or not. They picked up the phone when they did, and they handed it to someone when they did, and the phone's going to move and the temperature's going to increase as I expected. But I haven't got there yet. So you have to also remember the simplest answer, which is basically that the phone was on John. You would tell me that.
But that doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. I'm just telling you that doesn't work.
I haven't got there yet, but to me it does work. I just haven't.
How?
I can't because it doesn't start moving until someone finds him.
I know, but I know you're saying that, and I want to say that too. But like I said, there is nobody moving at the rate that we are being asked to believe somebody is moving. There's nobody moving. The women are with him, on him.
I see what you say. So you're accounting for movement at 6:02, steps at 6:02. And the thing is, I don't know if there's a range for that data, or is it exact time frame, like 6:02 to 6:03, or is it 6:02 to 6:14? I haven't looked yet.
It's both. Yeah, it's both. But you'll be able to look when you get there. I know how you are. You're going to want to focus on it when you get there, and you're not there yet. So it's not even worth really discussing. But for those of you that are kind of tracking that story and wanting to know, does Lank have it? It does not appear from what we can see as though he and his movements are tracking at the same distance and times that we have. Now, again, I don't know how much stake to put in that, but that's all we have to go on, right? So that's all I can do. I can only.
You also have Emily's CPR test.
Yes, we have Emily's CPR test.
Now, when you write that to me, what do you expect the response is going to be? That you're telling me that you have a phone in your bedroom and somehow you're compressing it on a pillow like this and it registers that? I mean, come on. What kind of response do you think that's going to elicit from me?
Fair enough. You are right about that. All right, let me find our video here. Is it of the Canton Library? Is that what I'm pulling up?
Yeah. It's a quick video, but I do want to figure out. Now, in any of the trials, did they ever really map out exactly where Karen traveled in a clear, concise manner?
I mean, I think Ian Whiffen tries to do that, right?
He does.
Yeah.
But they never really say. One thing I heard about the picture of Karen's car crossing at 12:16, but did they ever introduce this as an exhibit in any of the trials?
The Canton Library?
Yeah, 12:16.
I don't remember it. It's possible, but I don't remember it.
But it's so critical. And again, the time seems to be exactly right. So it's so important because you visualize the car, both Karen's and the McCabe's cars. And yeah, I know we're all looking for Higgy Bears, but I'm just talking about right now, this is just focusing on, was it possible that John was getting beat in the house between 12:21 and 12:24? Was it going up and down? Was he taking steps? So it's so odd to me that this really wasn't brought out. Now, maybe I'm wrong with that, but I don't remember seeing this video in terms of seeing Karen's car. I know that Yannetti referenced that he did see it in one of the pre-hearing conferences, but I don't remember actually seeing it used at the trial. So they definitely had it. I'm not sure if they thought it hurt or helped, because Yannetti originally had said that he would have seen Karen's car traveling by at 12:40 something. That was the original thing where they wanted to have all the footage. Yeah, which he doesn't know at the time, but that doesn't help him. And we wouldn't have seen Karen because we know she's already back at One Meadows by that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay. What is the route, by the way? Do we know the route from
Yeah, here,
coming
this
back?
video will clear that up. Yes.
Okay. All right, here we go.
yeah,
So let's play it. I'm going to play the video.
This is the video recording from the Canton Library, which is located about a minute from the Waterfall Bar. At the intersection where the camera is, the quickest route to 34 Fairview is to make a left. But Karen and John are going to head straight, taking a much longer route.
Between 20 minutes and 19 seconds and 21 minutes and 58 seconds after midnight, the device starts right side at Devon Street, drives up and turns left onto Maplecroft Road. Again, we see that all of these location points match the pattern of the road layout, and we see a cluster of records here, which is around a stop sign.
Sam,
so again, it indicates how reliable the data is because the location of it.
So when I first saw this, I didn't really figure out like what it meant, besides the fact that they can figure out where John's phone is. But you heard that Maplecroft, I'm like, what the fuck is she at Maplecroft? And then when you Google it, and you'll see that she's taking a longer route, not the right route, but just she doesn't know where she's going. I don't blame her for any of this, but it does explain why Jen got there in 4 minutes and Karen took 9 minutes to get there. So that's why this data is important, as we're going to see.
I'm just curious about what took so long for her to get to that point, though, right? Because he's saying that she got there at, 12:19? If we see her at 12:16, why does it take so long for her to get to this place?
Yeah, again, it goes back to your point of the tediousness of this actual drive. There's lights and there's stop signs, and it's a windy road. If you put in the Google map location of Canton Library, not Waterfall, Canton Library to 34 Fairview on their exact path, including her going past the road at one point, it's a 9-minute ride. That's
see.
at speed. So like that will answer your question as to how she's getting there. And I tried to see that too, because at certain points it doesn't seem like it should take 3 minutes to get to exactly where she is. But on the map, you see this is way past the house. She really shouldn't be there before her not knowing where she's going.
Okay, so let's keep playing.
The location data that's recorded, recognize the vehicle slow, come to a stop, and then continue after the stop sign.
Is Maplecroft Road in Canton?
Yes. At the end of Maplecroft Road, the device turned left onto Oakdale Road and continued heading down there. Between the hours of 21 minutes and 59 seconds and 22 minutes and 53 seconds, the device continues down Oakdale Road. Again, all of these location points show with 5-meter accuracy. They show a consistent cadence, consistent pattern to the road. And again, we see a cluster where we see the device come to a slow or a stop for a stop sign. The device ultimately turns right onto Cedar Crest and continue down there between 22 minutes and 54 seconds and 23 minutes and 57 seconds. The device shows that it overshot Fairview Road and continued turning up Cedar Crest, but came to a stop somewhere between 50 and 51. And at 23 minutes and 58 seconds, the device appears to have turned around, so potentially a 3-point turn, in order to head back down Cedar Crest Road and turn right onto Fairview Road.
And that road coming down at the bottom of the screen where John O'Keefe's phone travels, that's Fairview Road?
This is Fairview Road here, yes. So at 24 minutes and 20 seconds, we see the device is already on Fairview Road. 24 minutes and 24 seconds after midnight. 24 minutes and 25 seconds, traveling at 16.6. 24 minutes and 36 seconds, traveling at 3.2 miles an hour. Finally, the device comes to a complete stop at 24 minutes and 38 seconds.
And there we see Karen crossing at 12:16. As you see there. See that nice zoom in? Now here's the route that here, you could stop it here. That's the route that you wanted to see. That is from the Canton Library all the way to 34 Fairview, including going to 51 Cedar and then coming back. So it's a 9-minute ride, exactly how it is in Google.
All right, so this explains also why John doesn't put it in, doesn't plug it into Waze until a little bit later, right? Because I can't remember the exact time, but I think he doesn't put it in, I think, until after that call with Jen at 12:18. And it must be because at that point, what should have been a 4-minute drive was clearly not a 4-minute drive. They were kind of lost. And so he plugs it in so that they can get there from where they are, wherever that is.
You're 100% right. 1 minute after that call, he finally puts it in.
Okay, that makes sense, right? Because
12:19.
she can't find her way there for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then he puts it
Okay.
in.
Keep playing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you want me to keep making
25 minutes and 30
put it in
seconds.
references.
No,
We see
thank
a relatively significant change where the accuracy drops to 34 meters. We do see a course or a bearing that shows that the device reported it was heading west.
And so the phone could be anywhere in that circle, close to 34, inside 34, 32.
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it non-leading, please.
Could the phone be anywhere in that circle?
It could.
Could it be at the center point?
It could.
Could it be still in the car?
Can we stop it right for a second?
Hold on. Sorry.
Well, just move it back because this is important for everybody, and obviously it's not going to get past Alessi in his cross-examination.
It could.
But
Could it be still in
Hold
the
on.
center point?
It could.
Could it be
Sorry. There we go.
yeah, Whiffen even admitted that it could be in the house. Can we zoom in at all? Because it's on the Asian house right there, that arrow, and it's sort of misleading, that arrow.
How do I zoom in on this screen?
still in the car?
I'm not sure.
It's
if I
okay, but either
can.
way, that's the bottom house there is the Asian house, and it looks
30?
like, oh, it's 32
30 or
should be,
32. Okay.
right? And then
Got it,
34
yeah.
is above?
Yes.
Or do I have it wrong?
No, that's right. 32
Okay.
and 34.
Yeah. So this looks like, oh, he got out of the flagpole and went almost towards the Asian house. But remember that this circle is not indicative of anything except for the phone could be anywhere in the circle. So if you put that arrow at the top of that circle, it would be clearly John moving towards the house. But it doesn't matter. We have movement. We don't have steps. We have movement of the phone. So it's John could have that phone most likely with his drink and phone because we know look at the time. It's 12:25 and I can't see the
30.
exact 30. We know that John has just checked the you coming here at 12:25:09. So he's got that phone probably in his hand, and then it's most likely not to register steps when you have a phone in your hand. I know Emily does her test. Maybe she should keep it in her hand when she's doing the CPR and see if it actually has steps recorded, because most likely it's using your body vibration in order to determine if you're really moving in a step. So
I
this
think
is
we
interesting.
already have done that, right? I think actually somebody
I was
calculated.
sort of joking.
Right, but I think we figured out, right, that if you have the phone out, it's less likely to log steps than if you have it in your pocket, I think. Right? Isn't that
Yeah,
right?
that's supposedly what is supposed to happen. That's what I was taught that it happens with regard to steps in the iPhone.
Okay. And so I didn't remember him saying this in the PowerPoint presentation, but he actually does tell us that the phone moves west towards the house during the presentation, although it doesn't come across as clearly.
Yeah, for some reason Alessi objected to it, but it is important. Maybe we should listen to that again. It's a second to last question, but that's really critical to Karen's case, even going forward with regard to all of this data, is that their expert said that it's indicating. And it's always great to use their expert to prove your point.
Well, I think that's why they didn't have to call their expert, right? Because in the end, that's what mattered. They got what they wanted, which was the phone is moving west. All right, hold on.
See a relatively significant change where the accuracy drops to 34 meters. We do see a course or a bearing that shows that the device reported it was heading west.
And so the phone could be anywhere in that circle, close to 34,
He ignores it.
inside 34, 32.
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it non-leading, please.
Oh, right.
Could the phone be anywhere in that circle?
It could.
Could it be at the center point?
It could.
Could it be still in the car?
It could.
Okay, so...
And you know what, Sam, I forgot too, the accuracy is a lot worse at that point. Generally, that would be movement, although John just stopped using Waze. Waze gives it a nice, tight accuracy. And the reason why we're able to qualify the fact that John wasn't at the house before 12:24 and 34 seconds is that the Waze is giving such high accuracy to the point where you see when it starts to cluster, every little point is a data point that it's recording, and then it stops at the stop sign at that Croft Road, whatever the hell that Croft Road is, up near there. So I'm not sure why this wasn't made simple to everybody initially because there was a lot of energy spent on the John movement prior to him getting to the house. Now, I don't think Bob Alessi, and I know people think that I'm sort of like pitching DLA Piper. I'm not. I go against them. And when you do, you're in for a war, like a real war, not a fake war. Like this is going to be war. They will never miss anything. One time I had a case, Sam, where everything came down to, let's say that my client was a banker and she had 5,000 transactions on her debit card. They were accusing her of fraudulently making one charge. And it was at an ice cream store in Miami when she was on vacation. And she had been to the store once before. She said she didn't recognize the charge. And I saw this, but I never thought in a million years that defense would. And for certain, and the DLA Piper attorney, because this was a firm, they knew it straight away. And then I had randomly asked to take a break, and the arbitrator that was sitting next to me was like, yeah, I bet you really want to. Something, she was kind of snide. I just had asked for a break after that. I had known that it was there, but I never brought it out on our initial case. So he used it against me. Point is, DLA Piper is not going to miss anything with regard to these specific information. There's no way that Bob Alessi didn't figure this out at some point. It just wasn't made clear to me until like yesterday as to the path she took.
I see. And they didn't, I don't think during the second trial, I don't remember them contesting that at all. I think it was actually Brennan that says there was some confusion. He asks Ian Whiffen during direct about the time confusion, and so Ian addresses it, but I don't know that Alessi comes back and makes a big deal about it. I'd have to double check that, but because it just wasn't that important at that moment for them to do it. The first trial was different. There was like the third party culprit. It was a completely different defense strategy, right? So they really seemed to come back around. It seems like what they did was they took what the Commonwealth had given them on direct and then made a calculation about what they still needed to prove their point and really tried to streamline, make it as clear and simple as possible with the witnesses that they selected to actually present.
What's crazy about a trial with the 12 jurors is that none of them are getting the nuances here. Like people say, oh, we didn't need our expert. They had no fucking clue that Ian Whiffen helped out. I just found this out yesterday. So how could those 12 jurors pick up on that nuance that Ian Whiffen is admitting to the fact that the phone is moving westerly, right? So that's huge. Now, my best buddy, Kevin, and we've become real friends, like after. Like,
I believe it.
We do text. There's no hostility. So he told me today, I wake up to the text from him that the phone battery temperature is what proves when John exits the vehicle. And I said, Kev, show me the temperature at 12:24, 12:25, and 12:26. Because I recall that the phone temperature, the battery temperature, was from a range of time, meaning like there was a reading at 12:12 and then a reading at 12:30. It wasn't precise. And I told him it's not accurate to use the battery temperature as an indicator of John exiting the vehicle. Now, it is important with regard to the phone's location over a longer period of time, because if it's in a house, we may see some decrease perhaps, but you're not going to see significant decrease in battery temperature. But to me, him relying upon the battery temperature as to when John exited the vehicle is not nearly the best evidence that you have. And it's hard to pinpoint exactly what's going on when he could have exited the vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, you have to be careful of confirmation bias. It's really, really strong. It's, and I'm for me, because of my background in psychology, like I'm going to go with what the witnesses are doing and saying. Like that is going to be my focus, going to be first and foremost, above and beyond anything else. And the problem that we have with where John is and whether or not he goes into this house is that every single person who is asked, did you see John go into the house, is evidencing indications of lying at that moment. And the question is, why? Right. And I want to ignore that. Like you, for the longest time, up until a couple of weeks ago, I had him outside. I had Brian Higgins calling him over to that third side parked at his car before he ever gets to the house, because I could not believe that everybody in this house sees him and is lying about it. But, and this is what I wanted to make sure we bring up today. So it seems like your new girlfriend, Jen, has been busy threatening people.
I like that.
So apparently these new sidebars from trial 2 are very interesting. And Miss Emily did a tremendous job yesterday on her stream presenting these sidebars. And it was so interesting to me, not only that Jackson, the niceties are just done with at this point. Like, he's just letting her have it. She's kind of letting him have it. They're going back and forth, which is fascinating. But it comes out that in April of 2023, which is very significant because this is the same time that the feds are showing up at Jen's house, and Aiden gets hold of the story after the defense drops their theory of the case and starts blogging about the whole thing, right? So this must have been the worst time in these people's lives, because they thought they're in the clear, and then all of a sudden it's like the floor drops out from under them. And one of the things that she does apparently is start to threaten Karina Kolakithis. So I think that's fascinating, because we see recently on X that the anti people led by Krusty Panties is out there putting evidence of Karina supporting them in the days following this incident, saying like, oh my God, like essentially indicating that Karen was guilty and she can't believe that this happens. So I don't know who the texts are to exactly, but she's definitely kind of seemingly a little bit colluding, right? I don't know if it's colluding, but okay, of course she thought Karen did it because they arrested her. Everybody thought Karen did it. There was no contrary evidence or even narrative out there, right? So, but it's interesting to me that we have Jen. So we have her threatening Karina, and that never comes out. So I don't know what ended up happening.
How did she threaten Karina?
We don't know the details. So all we know is that at some point during the trial, right before Jen is about to start cross-examination, I believe it's right before cross-examination, it comes out because Brennan brings it out at sidebar that the defense had sent him an email over lunch about a threat that was made to Karina from Jen, and it came from Karina's lawyer. Karina's lawyer. Yeah. So the lawyer sent that to the defense, and the defense wasn't allowed to speak to Karina before the first trial, I guess because her lawyer barred that from happening.
Okay.
So they get this late, and Alan wants to use it in cross-examination with Jen, but we never really hear about what happens. The judge kind of says, all right, well, let me look at the email, and then we don't know. So we don't know what the extent of the threat is. We don't know the details about it. All we know is that there was a threat made from Jen to Karina in April of 2023.
It's interesting because the word threat can be used in various ways. It's more likely, Sam, psychologically threatened by Karina because she's prettier than Precious Angel Jen McCabe. You have to always account for things like that with regard to all of this and who's got the hierarchy, who's the alpha, who's the beta.
So here's the thing, though, and this is why I'm bringing it up. So we also, you probably didn't see it because I don't think you were here yet. During the open, I put in a video from, let me see if I can pull it up really quick here. This is not new. It's Tom Beattie.
I saw it. I love your opening.
You saw
Thank
it.
God for that. For some reason, I don't know, life is so weird. I can have like 4 days to prepare for the show, but I'm still uploading things within 2 minutes. So thank God for that opening. But I do see it. I saw her threaten Beattie. Is that what you were talking about?
I'm gonna bring it up for people to see. This doesn't have the words in it.
I like.
Just keep walking. Nobody wants you here.
Keep walking. Nobody wants you here.
Yeah.
Got everybody around you, right?
Still got everybody around her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go be by yourself, loser. She's so many things. Anyway,
I love girls like that. I mean, it's high school. I mean, like, really. I mean, it's all happened. We've either been on the one side or the other.
Okay, but this is really important. This is why I'm bringing it up, because I heard you say it the other day, and I feel very strongly about this. And we're going to get to the chat in just a minute. I think it might be Denise's birthday today. So happy birthday, Denise! But just because I don't want to forget to say that. But Jen is a bully. Yes, Jen is a bully, and she's not afraid to be a bully. It's high school. You have to keep in mind. This person never left. She's born and raised in this town. Exactly. And this is really important because she's out there using that using that, personality, those connections, having been born and raised in this town, having all these family members. She's known Brian Albert since kindergarten. Her sisters had a crush on him since middle school. Like these are bullies. And I do think that they are scary to the locals. I think that the people in that town are scared of her, are scared of the Alberts, do not want to cross them. And so when we not only thinking about Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, who I have absolutely no doubt as friends of Brian Jr., as people who are incredibly aware of who these people are and their power to torture you. If your plan is never to leave town, like if it's me, I'm going to visit, a few times a year to see family, fine. But if your plan is to be born and raised and to have your children born and raised like Karina, whose kids are playing soccer with Jen's kids or basketball or whatever it is, the parents are like a crew. Do you want to be like Tom Beatty, ostracized at the soccer game or lacrosse game because Jen McCabe and her buddies are like, stomping you out and like ignoring you or taunting you, whatever. So to me, I feel like that's important. I feel like that does prohibit witnesses. And I would just argue that not that I'm suggesting in any way that like Heather and Ricky and those guys saw John go in, but even if they had, I wonder whether those folks would admit it because of the fact that this group does have influence in this town. And so I'm only saying that because I think that there may very well be evidence, lots of people who have information that are not going to bring it forward for a very long time because of these people. They don't want to be tortured by this group.
You make a great point because the town that I grew up in is called Bethpage, Long Island. It's literally right in the middle of Long Island if you ever look at the map. But it is so similar to Canton in the sense that it's a train ride away from a major city, major city, Boston, New York City. So there are people that have been in that town since the beginning. In the 50s, they built their houses. I know my parents did and my grandparents did. But there are people that never left. There are adults that still go to the high school football games, literally, even though their kids haven't been in school for 20 years. And definitely there is a hierarchy, and the Alberts are big fish in a very, very small pond. And once the pond got bigger, all of a sudden they're completely exposed, where the normal things that he was able to do, like talk your way out of it, worked because you had some aura of influence in this little pond. But it doesn't work around us anymore. It just doesn't. When you start making up your bullshit butt dials and all the lies that come out, it's so obvious to us, and we don't have the same fear because we don't live there. And it's funny because Canton had the Nick the Greek and his wife come in. Now they're not probably born there, I don't think, because he's an attorney, she's a pharmacist. I know that was probably a working class town that escalated because of its proximity to Boston and other major areas. So there is some people that transition, just like Bethpage, where they just come in now. And so there are the new people and the old residents, but certainly the older ones are willing to be fearful of a big fish like a Brian Albert.
Absolutely. And to be fair, like he does at that point, he's got the Boston. We're talking about 3 police forces, right? We're talking about the Canton PD, we're talking about the Boston Police Force and the state police. So if you're somebody who's worried about getting pulled over, being harassed by cops, the truth is, like, we don't know in the culture of those police forces. I mean, we know with the Massachusetts State Police and the DA's office what the culture had been, but we don't know, like, what are the other people at the Canton PD? Do they believe that, I'm sure they just turned a blind eye. Do they think that Karen is innocent or guilty? I mean, we really just don't know what the general consensus or like the scuttle is amongst the rest of the people, right? And I remember firefighter Nettle. You remember? Is it Nettle? The one that makes the mistake about the jacket. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. What about him?
He was, every time he's interviewed with Brian Tully there, he strikes me, he actually admits this to Alan Jackson, that it's something that gets brought up every single day and has been brought up every single day since the day it happened. And it sort of felt the way he was describing it during trial 2, Brennan's trial, that you know, like he's exalted, like he has some cred, like street cred amongst the people, his people, because he was a direct witness that night. And it feels like part of his story grew in favor of the prosecution because he was getting positive reinforcement from his peers, from Brian Tully, who's literally sitting in on all these interviews and who's probably pretty scary to somebody like him, right? So it's like the I hit him stuff, even though nobody says anything about I hit him in the first 24 or 48 hours after this happens, it grows into this mammoth story that everybody remembers so clearly. And I think a lot of that is kind of the same thing. It's like groupthink. It's being reinforced by the locals.
Yeah, and it's a good point too. And that's why I don't care so much about any of the talk, meaning if she swore that she hit him, it wouldn't affect my investigation, and it shouldn't affect yours as a police investigator in any field, because I told you in New York State, our state, you can walk into any precinct and admit to a crime, and if they don't have any additional evidence, they can't convict you on it. So you cannot convict someone in New York based solely on an admission. And there are plenty of times when people admit the crimes they didn't do. This is not necessarily the situation. This is more of a I shot the clerk from my cousin Vinny. Like, you're asking a rhetorical question, or could I have hit him? It's not I did hit him. And it doesn't make a difference what she said. She could have sworn to hitting him in writing. We have to go based upon the evidence. That's a piece of evidence, but it doesn't make a difference with regard to how we're analyzing it, because the body doesn't have the actual injuries. And when her case is finally concluded, she'll settle for millions of dollars eventually. There may be a fight, maybe not. There may be an actual verdict. There may not even be a trial. You never know with regard to all these civil cases. But either way, she will obtain millions of dollars, and eventually that will force change amongst this police force, at least initially, especially if the award is high enough, where it really does cause change. Because I keep looking back to when that medical examiner determined that it was undetermined, and how Proctor initially tried to fight it and say, well, maybe I heard it, maybe I didn't. But Alan Jackson had the ability to impeach that statement and say, no, you actually told us. You've never seen this before in your life. That has to be a red flag where things have to stop and say, let's look at it from fresh eyes, and maybe including bringing someone else in. But you can make literally changes to your operation manual with regard to certain situations that happen this way.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Instead, he just says, oh, she's a nutbag or she's a whack job, right? And then lies about it afterwards.
Totally lied about who the whack job was, right?
Yeah.
Because we know. And we watched this before, and Lally's trying to say, hey, dickhead, you just were referring to the medical examiner in the past 50 texts, and you say whack job. And he's like, are you sure? Lally asked the question, but the question was, hey, you're talking about the medical examiner when you say whack job. You didn't call her a cunt. You just said it was a whack job. He called Karen a whack job cunt. She was just a whack job, the medical examiner. He used it twice, whack job. I pay attention to all those words. You know how it is. Absolutely. We better answer some of these questions, otherwise we're going to be way behind at the end.
Yeah, let's do it. We're getting to you guys now. No, absolutely. He lies. Proctor does a fair amount of lying throughout. It's pretty amazing.
But I'll say this though, he's not a huge liar. His whole testimony wasn't a lie, like a Higgins or an Albert, right? It's like,
yes,
there are times that, and again, he comes in later. He didn't kill John O'Keefe, so I don't really focus so much on him with regard to that. His investigation, of course, is something different.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I will just say this: when I first saw it again, because I went back during the trial and I watched Proctor just to see, like, were they going to bring him in? Would it be a good thing to call him to the stand or not? And I couldn't remember, and I thought actually he presents better than I remember him presenting, even through the text. He kind of tolerates them well. He kind of handles it well. But when I went back and then really tried to do the beginning of an analysis, I realized there's a tremendous amount of deception. At some point, I will do it again just to show people, because it is worth taking a look at. But it's sprinkled. It's a fair bit of both. What they do, all of them, they're all covering for somebody else. They're all covering for probably Chief Berkowitz, right? There's covering for each other in terms of the blue wall. You see a lot of that, just whether it's warranted or not. Stacy Santagello, I love their last name, sends us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Stacy. Jess Joe King, 65, sends a super sticker. Stairs with John O'Keefe. So wait, stairs down. John. up to foyer, up
that's
to
one.
bedroom, then down to Lank in AM. Oh, that's interesting. You're talking about the morning. That's interesting. So stairs down with John, up to the foyer, up to the bedroom. Yeah, it's interesting that the bedroom is in play, right? I've thought about the bedroom a few times because that's where Brian Albert tells us that they are, that he actually goes into his son's bedroom. I don't know that they would go up there, though. I just don't know why they would
you grew
go
up in these
there.
suburban houses. People have rules, and they're unwritten rules. And some of them are. In my house, your shoes were off. Like when I heard that about John, it was not a big deal. This is how my mom was. Like no one walked in our house without shoes ever. No one ever went upstairs at a party. You know, like ever.
Right.
So yeah, it would be very uncommon for that to happen, especially since supposedly Chloe was upstairs. Yeah, Brian Albert fucked that story up, and he did not keep his story straight. When you say that you went upstairs to view Jack's photos with Brian Higgins, and then fucking Higgins doesn't know that, you guys fucked up majorly there. And obviously, if you're not lying, it wouldn't be hard to recall where you were in someone's house. These aren't huge houses. You know, it's like main floor, downstairs, or upstairs. And Higgins never says he went upstairs or downstairs, and I believe him.
It's so weird. It's so weird what all the lying is for. The only thing that sort of, to me, really does point to some aspect of the basement is the fact that I know that is a place where there has been, like, people used to hang out in the basement. That was like where the Alberts had parties or whatever. I don't know if that was going on that night, but it is interesting. It's a lot. These people, this is funny to me. It's a small house and these are big people. So when you get 9 of them together, you're trying to picture them all around this table. It's like they're not all hanging out at this little table. These are big people. Even just in that kitchen area, they're big. It's weird how, like, to imagine them even all hanging out in there. My mom, hi, Mama. She sends $4.99. Hi, I miss you too. She says, and wish you were in the sun here with the rest of you. I know. I wish I was there too. Poor Penelope is stuck down there. With not with my mom, with her friend and her friend's mom, but which is a shame.
This is your mom? That's
Mrs. my mom.
Benigno?
Hi, Mama.
Hi,
yes,
Mrs.
yes.
Does she still retain the Benigno name?
She has the Benigno name. Yes, she's not.
Did she ever date after Mr. B?
She does have a new partner, but they're not married. Hi, Tim. Say hi to Tim. Hi, Tim. We miss you, Mama.
There's a little Jewish guilt in that. I love Jewish moms. They always have to rub it in just a little bit. You know, wish you were here.
What do you mean? In the name?
Yeah. No. In the message.
Oh, I know. She's right. I wish I was there too. At Lori Harris since 12/21. Lori's been a member for 5 months. Hi, Lori. Jess Joe King sends $1.99. What if the House defendants were told Colin is guilty because they covered up Brian Albert's lie? Okay, let's read this again. What if the House defendants were told that Colin Albert is guilty because they were covering up Brian Albert's lie?
I think maybe we're trying to imply that if they don't cover up the lie, then Colin would be guilty. What if House defendants?
Wait, what if the House defendants were told that Colin was, or told, I don't know. I'm not sure
plus
what
we need to know which lie, because there's a few with Brian Albert.
Yes, and what do you mean by the House defendants? They would have told us that somebody told us that Colin was guilty, right? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but one of the things that's hard for most of us that still believe Colin might have been in the mix, one of the reasons that's hard for us to rule out completely is because it seems unlikely that Jennifer McCabe and Allie McCabe, that all these people would go to such great lengths to just protect Brian Higgins. But, you know, it's not impossible because Brian Albert would have been directly indicated as well.
That's the thing. I never make the representation about Brian Albert, but most likely, in my opinion, Brian Albert, you were involved in the cover-up and potentially the initial attack, but definitely the cover-up. There's no way.
You would have had to have been, right?
Right, because you're not calling Brian Higgins at 2:22 in the morning at all, randomly, who's one of the 10 potential people, including Chloe, that could have killed John O'Keefe. You happen to call one of them at 2:22 in the morning?
Yeah. Do you have any ideas why he's at the police station?
I initially said that it was to set up an alibi, meaning that he could say that he was there during a potential time where John was actually hit. And he did offer the fact that he was on camera. Now, I initially put a lot more credit and weight into Higgins' admission that it's on camera. I believe it's on camera, something to that effect. He offers that when it's not really asked, but he was answering a question with regard to what he was doing or his movement. So it wasn't just a complete offering of, I believe it's on camera, but for certain there's a chance that he's there just to set up his alibi. And I don't believe he's there trying to actually listen for monitoring, because they know, and he knows, that eventually they have to put the body out and then there'll be a chance for someone to actually detect it. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen until probably 3:30, 3:45, and he's long
Right. He
gone
can't be
from
monitoring at that time because there's nothing to monitor for yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say that, though, the monitoring. I mean, I'm just speculating here. I don't know exactly why he did that, but it makes no sense. And Alan Jackson called him out on it. They had the theme of long day. They planned to say this: long day, long day, long day. I don't know if Lally came up with it or Brian Albert and Brian Higgins did, but when you have a long day, the last thing you're going to do is go back to Canton PD, especially since you claim you left the key on the desk for those dopes to move the cars anyway, if they had to. And that's all bullshit anyway. You saw the back of that PD, Canton PD. It's not plowed. There's like one little trail through it, and it makes no difference where those cars were.
No, it doesn't. And like you said, he left a key, so that just sort of nullifies the whole thing. The thing is, like, he does tell us earlier in the text with Karen Reed that at times he'll stay at the police station when he's drinking, right? But he doesn't stay at the police station. He goes to the police station, but he doesn't sleep there. He goes home, right? So that's the weird part. We see him leaving the police station, but it's not unusual for him to go there in the middle of the night, because he tells us that he crashes there. And I think when he does that texting or sexting kind of, and weird, like, you're hot texting after the Patriots game, it's from the Canton Police Department, he tells us, because he doesn't want to drive home.
Have you ever got rejected by a guy like that?
What do you mean by rejected?
Physically? Because it's very rare when it happens when you reject a girl, but I remember that on a ski trip, I slept next to Pam Key, and I really liked her, but I didn't know if she liked me, so we didn't hook up. I didn't even try anything. And then after, she really liked me. And then, like, we talked about it years later. It was that rejection. Even though I didn't technically get rejected, or she didn't get rejected, I didn't do anything or try anything. Right. But I'm asking you because Karen Mead's making it clear she wants him back that night. And that's the rejection I was asking about. Like, have you ever been so actually saying, so forward, and then you get completely rejected as a girl, which is not going to be common?
I don't think so. No.
Man, it must be nice to be good looking.
No, well, I just don't remember that. I mean, I remember there was one person one time where I liked them. This is like, I was 16 and I had a little crush on them, but they were also really good friends with somebody who everybody knew had a really big crush on me. And so they were not going there. And it was the right call on their part, but that really wasn't physical. It was like purely like, I like you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. That's the best kind of life from that age.
And he did the right thing. He did the right thing there.
Dodge
My
the bullet
mom is a
with
member.
you.
Yay, welcome, Mom. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What about Tim?
I know, right? I don't know if Tim is on his YouTube as much. At Blessed Ma, member for 3 months. I love me some Samantha and Vince, and we love you too, Blessed Mama.
Are you telling me that a Jew from New Jersey now moves and lives in Florida?
No, they're just visiting. They're on vacation. Yeah. But I mean, that would be very, very normal. My mom lived in New Jersey, is originally from Western Massachusetts. So they're actually normally in the Berkshires, but I think they're starting to think about transitioning down to Florida now. Like,
how'd she meet your dad?
College, and in Indiana.
What school?
I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. I don't remember. I know it was in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, there's a few.
I don't know if it was Indiana State. I don't think so. Franklin College.
Franklin College. How did I get to Franklin College?
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell they were doing in Indiana. My father, I'm going to guess it's basketball related. Like, he was there because of basketball. He was a huge basketball person when he was younger.
Does that state have any connection to the sport?
Yes. Yeah, Indiana's like notorious for its college basketball. Guessing that's why he was there. My mom, I have absolutely no idea, like why anyone would even consider being. But they had some interesting experiences out west. Like they were like tied up with coat hangers and held at gunpoint.
Your parents were?
Yeah.
At college?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I guess it was just after college when they had like graduated and moved into their first apartment.
Wow. Did someone break into their house?
Someone broke in. It was like, those young like apartment complexes that are like young people.
Yes.
Somebody, I think they had come by a few days earlier, kind of like scoping out the place and saw that they had like a nice stereo system or something. And so they came back for it like a couple days later while they were a bunch of people in the house.
It's weird because you don't get break-ins that much anymore because it's not really much to steal. Like, I don't know nothing's really worth anything in someone's house unless they have like jewelry or fine art. But for the most part, every house here, a TV is not worth breaking into someone's house for because they're so cheap. But back then, a stereo system, something like that is potentially worth it.
Absolutely. That's so true. It's true that you don't hear about break-ins as much anymore. It's very, very true. At Cynthia Marks, 139. Hi, Cynthia. She's a member for 1 month. Julie Nagel says Lexus SUV is gone when she goes outside. Ryan Nagel and Heather Maxon drove past SUV when leaving. Which one is the truth?
Yeah.
Well, so I think my opinion is that Julie Nagel doesn't remember Karen's SUV being there. But the reason that she's so sure, this is my opinion. I believe that she's so sure that Lexus was there before, and she's adamant about it, is because she sees John when she comes out. So John is in the house, and that's how come she's adamant that they were there before. She doesn't realize that Karen was there. She just doesn't see her. She was drunk. Ryan Nagel tells us that she was definitely drunk when she goes outside. So the only way that Julie could be as sure as she is, to the point where she's redirecting Lally 3 times, is if she sees John go in. And that's how she knows that that the SUV was there before.
So Julie Bagel testified that she didn't see Karen Reed's car when she was outside and had already left. We know that that's not true. It's not even plausible because Karen was in front of them. And we know that we have witnesses that testified seeing Karen's car as they're leaving, which are the people in Ricky's F-150. So there's no way what she's saying is accurate with regard to Karen's car.
Right. So we know that Julie doesn't know what she's talking about. But there's only one way that she could possibly be that sure, because she doesn't even see the Lexus, right? She never sees the Lexus out front. She says that she sees it out front. She doesn't see the Lexus out front. That part is definitely a lie. So the only way she could be this sure is if she sees John in the house. That's what initially made me say, wait a minute, I have to really seriously take another look at whether John is in that house. And because of this discussion earlier, Vince, I think what I'm going to do, my next focus is going to be going back to all the witnesses when they are questioned about that part of their testimony, about that time, did they see John? Just going back and look at everybody really closely and see what their responses are so that we can, definitively see how they respond to that very specific line of questioning. What do you think of John's phone in the house? It's a great question, Ginny. Hi, Ginny. What do you think?
There's a few things that we deal with because there is an accuracy circle, which we see, which potentially it could be in the house. But in reality, that phone doesn't really ping as being in the house for a long time, if at all. So there's a great chance it's not in the actual house. I need to go back and check out from 1232 going forward as to the accuracy. We only saw the accuracy sort of before then. At least I did. I know that there is data with regard to that. So yeah, there's a good chance.
He says it's low accuracy. He says it's low accuracy.
And then but then it goes to high at certain points. And then if it's high, and then again, we're not sure exactly how accurate that circle is, by the way. That's just sort of an estimate. It could be feet away from that too. It doesn't make a difference with regard to it. But if it's so high accuracy that it's not in the house, then most likely it's not in the house. So that's one thing we have to account for.
I actually think, I don't quote me on this, I actually think he says that it stays low accuracy until 6 a.m. From that, I think that's what he says. But the interesting thing about that is Jen's phone is also reading very low accuracy once she goes into the house. So it appears that the house would have caused a low accuracy reading, which makes sense. And if you've ever been in these towns too, like I know in Western Mass, because of the hills and because of the houses, and you don't get great cell phone reception. It constantly goes in and out depending on where you are. Like even a house will have these periods of like no, you know, absolutely, like you can't even talk on the phone in certain areas of houses. So for sure, the accuracy in the house would be a problem, but also the accuracy outside of the house could be a problem. We don't know. I guess that's really part of the problem, right? Okay. New member, yay! Welcome, Bonnie Bass 6601. Really happy to have you with us. And once again, happy birthday to Denise. I believe it is your birthday today. So
how old is
happy
Denise?
birthday! Who cares? She's like 35.
So annoying.
That's right. So what is it that you are working on now? Because I don't know if everybody knows this, but you're sort of really focused on, you know, that the time of the crime, I would say. I guess that's one way to sort of talk about it.
Yeah, my overall theme is obviously figuring out exactly when and where Brian Higgins attacked John O'Keefe. So as I move closer and closer to that, really, I mean, I just got to 1225, and even yesterday you find this circle, which I really never saw before. The one that we showed at the beginning where the phone is moving in a westerly pattern. I've seen that testimony. I've had it. It's all downloaded. I've used it. But I never appreciated that particular frame of the actual movement of the phone at 12:25 and 50 seconds. So it's interesting to me. I still am not convinced that he went in the house. I know you are, but just with regard to how and when this could have took place, I'm working my way through that, Sam. I'm at between the hour time of 12:25 and 12:30 right now. It's like where I'm trying to figure out where John is. I'm really trying to visualize and confirm it with the evidence that we have.
Let me ask you this
Sam,
question.
well, let me tell you that a lot of times you and I have videos independently that are very similar, almost exact with regard to the content. It's so weird.
That is true. It is weird. I guess it's weird. It's also not weird because we're all sort of like, you know, talking about and sharing information that's approximately in the same vein. But yeah, it's true. Like we're sort of working on similar things, certainly, right? And I definitely appreciate that your sort of information about the cell phone registering steps and distances might be very helpful because, as we talked about earlier, Emily suggested maybe those steps came from the CPR, the 432 steps that morning, because people are trying to track the location of the phone. To me, it turns out there was distance information, so I think I'm going to go back and take a look at that at some point too.
But a lot of times I come off way too crass or that I know it all, and I don't want that to be, meaning like when I say something, it seems so definitive. I can change very quickly, and I was panicking yesterday. Actually, Emily's show was live, and I swore when I was doing the math, I could not figure out how John got to the house by 12:24. And the only thing worse than confirmation bias is being wrong to Emily because she's such a fucking bully to me behind the scenes.
That's so funny.
My God, I don't know who this girl is that I'm watching. She's so sweet on these videos.
She's the best. She is really
I'm not
sweet.
saying she's bad. I'm saying that I don't know who that is.
That's so funny. Oh, that reminds me. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So another thing that came out is the sneakers. So that was huge. I never tracked that, but that was really big.
I don't know anything about the sneakers, but I just got the chills because that video is so clear. I don't know what it means, but I see John's sneaker, and I know you saw Tully hold it up. I don't know. I get emotional. Emily makes fun of me that I'm emotional with this stuff, but I am. Like, to see someone's last hours of life, and you see John is just like a regular guy. I get his mentality. You know, like, yeah, you want to say that he's older, but he's sort of responsible, and he's sort of romantic to Karen in weird ways, like moving the car so she can have a spot, like those type of things. I appreciate the fact that he's recycling on his second to last day of Earth. I don't recycle at all. I don't believe that it does anything besides give white people these emits these nice things in your brain, but it doesn't do anything technically if you do the research. But yeah, it's just so odd to see John so close and so clear on his last few hours of life. And we spoke about this, and I know we're getting behind with these questions, but I asked you as an expert in Massachusetts bar drinking, I called you to the stand in our group, and I said, is Karen sucking down that drink in a straw for girly reasons, for lip gloss reasons, as Corey said, or is she doing it to get drunk quicker? Now, I was always told when I was in college that if you drink a drink with a straw, a mixed drink, you get drunk quicker. Did you ever hear that before?
I'm sure I had. That sounded, when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's more, it's sort of like a way to tolerate it more easily, I think, but also drink it quicker. I could see that.
Okay, so you never heard that before? And I don't know if it's true or not. I just always heard that growing up.
I think I did hear that. I think I have heard that. People have told me that I used to drink through a straw, although I don't remember that. But I've had friends tell me that I was often double-fisted and drinking through straws in high school. Now, I don't remember it at all, but that's what I was told. So it's very possible.
You're holding 2 drinks, you mean?
2 drinks and drinking through a straw, yes.
Because that would have been a little bit different.
Yes, not that kind. Yes. Nope, 2 drinks and drinking through a straw. That's, I don't remember it, but they would reason that would have been why. Like, I don't like the taste of alcohol, and maybe that somehow makes it happen faster. Like, I chug it faster somehow. So it's possible that is why she's drinking through a straw. Absolutely.
I can't even do a shot.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not a man at all.
Well, they were doing, was it fireball shots, I think, at the bar? I think that's what they were doing, fireball.
I can do that one girly shot that's really just all like lemonade. What the hell is it called? Lemon drop.
Lemon drop. Yeah.
What is that?
Lemon drop. That's so funny. Is that like vodka and like limoncello or something? Probably.
I don't know. It's really all lemon. It's like lemonade almost.
That's so funny. No, but she was probably drinking quickly because she has to catch up. So I think you're reminding me now. I think what happens there. So this is them. CF McCarthy's is interesting because they've been fighting all day. Karen doesn't want to give in to John. She doesn't want to go there. He's like, come on, Karen, get over it. There's going to be a storm. You're not going back to your house. Just come be with me and the kids through the weekend. We're all going to be snowed in, right? She's like, no, I feel like a loser giving in to you because you mistreated me this morning, hit her with a pillow, whatever. So that is an important moment because they're reuniting. She's coming from her place, I think, in Mansfield, right? And so they're reuniting at CF McCarthy's, and it makes sense that she would want to drink and that she'd be drinking very quickly to try to catch up because John has been there for like at least an hour. I think he meets Carrie's husband and is with Carrie's husband when she first arrives, when Karen arrives. That's who the guy is that John is with. And then
that's
goes
Carrie
home.
Roberts' husband?
Yes. Yeah.
Who does he does he ever leave with him from his house? Because we see that in the Ring camera. Or is it just like a random when some guy's picking up one of the kids? Because there is a guy that he leaves with.
Maybe.
He doesn't drive there, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So did Carrie Roberts' husband
yes.
drive him there?
Yes, that's right.
That's an interesting connection.
So wait, you're reminding me too that somebody, oh my God, is it John? It's been a while since I've read those texts, but that there is this whole thing about like, he doesn't have his car because so that Karen has to essentially like take him home. So she has to go home with John at the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely relying upon her to tend to the kids, to be his designated driver, which is fine. You're in a relationship. I mean, I've done that too because my wife doesn't drink that much. But the cool thing is Karen drinks a lot. So really you're putting all the liability onto her. And a lot of people come down hard on John in the comments that I read with regard to this, where not that they're not negative towards him, but they're also saying, look, it's also illegal for Karen to drive drunk too. And I don't think John was drunk at all. He's just drinking. He's drinking beers. He's not fast either. It's only beer, and it's over an extended period of time. Where Karen comes in and she sucks down that first drink in like minutes, and she's already ordering a second. Now the edit came out in my video where you're not seeing all of her drinks, but clearly the jury was able to count those drinks, and it's so vivid in these videos. I'm not even sure she really drinks at the waterfall. She's doing her performance there. But you do see a full change in Karen's attitude once that first drink goes down. Like she comes in, they're still mad. She's yapping. He's doing his thing, but once that first drink is in, she's happy.
She loosens up considerably.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. When they get to the waterfall, so she brings her drink from C.F. McCarthy's to the waterfall. And at that point, it doesn't appear like, I'm sure at that point because I don't know if people know this, but a drink takes about or up to 45 minutes from the last drink. That's why when people are sick and like hanging over a toilet bowl, the reason is because they don't realize that they're about 45 minutes of lag time between their last drink. So if you're like not really feeling it and you're doing 2 shots and you keep drinking, you think you're fine. And then all of a sudden an hour later and it's like it all catches up and you get, you're sick as a dog. So she was very, very drunk. I think, very, very, maybe that's too strong a word. Very drunk would be the way. And because she's in kind of a brownout. Like, I don't think, so people have said that she calls Jen to get the address of the of 34 Fairview, but actually I don't think when she calls Jen she remembers that she was at 34 Fairview. I think she remembers being at the waterfall with Jen, and that's why she calls Jen.
And again, I call Jen Precious Angel, but if you look at the report that she gave to that female trooper, Jen is very protective. Jen's honest about what happened, and she could have been very hard on Karen. She never said Karen was completely wasted. She even mentions the fact that Karen said she may have hit him, but she didn't believe it at all. And she mentions the fact that, she doesn't remember even going to 34 Fairview. So she probably was pretty drunk, given her weight and how much she drank and what she was drinking in that time frame.
Yeah. I mean, she would have had a higher tolerance then because she was drinking quite a bit. But definitely, she doesn't remember. And we know from her text with Brian Higgins that she does kind of have these like brownouts, that she does experience brownouts periodically. So, and they don't feel like full blackouts, but she does ask about the kiss. And Brian Higgins, thinks maybe it's John and he's talking to at that point, because he's like, wait, you don't remember? And so he doesn't want to verify it. So instead, he kind of keeps putting the ball back on her. Like, wait, what? Because he thinks maybe John picked up her phone and is texting.
Yeah, potentially. And obviously it meant the world to Higgins. Even if it was a surprise, it probably was a surprise. It's something that he obviously wanted. He always liked her, as he said. And then it comes to fruition here, which he never thought would. So that changed. And I didn't realize how much of the text that we read are basically taking place that night and that morning when they're sexting each other. A lot of the texts,
yes,
so if you put them in it's like almost, I think it's a majority of them were then. We saw the ones before and after, but pretty much it was that night.
You're talking about at the Patriots game.
Yeah, right. So after the kiss, and then, because you know how that is. Like once you kiss someone, now everything's going crazy in your brain, and she's probably alone in her own room. Remember, she doesn't sleep with John, and Higgins doesn't understand why she's able to text. He even asked her, like, what the hell's going on? She never explained to him that I have my own room at One Meadows.
Yeah. I didn't remember that they didn't sleep together. I mean, I knew she had her own bathroom. I didn't know they didn't sleep together, though.
Oh, yeah. No, she definitely referenced at one point. I don't know if it's the first trial or the second, where the text message where she tells Higgins she has her own. Oh, and Higgins goes, well, I like the spoon. He's like, you don't like the spoon? She's like, yeah, for 1 minute. But then, no, I need my own sleep. Sleep's important to me. Like
she does say that. You're absolutely right. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, their relationship is interesting, and it is also. You're right. People have been making comments. I don't know if they're derogatory, but like John doesn't seem like like such a good guy. I don't know how they're being framed exactly, but kind of like an asshole, maybe like. Like you were saying, old school, I think was kind of what you were trying to imply. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. What are your thoughts about that
she definitely,
part of it?
She liked him more than he liked her, which generally is not the spot you want to be in as a girl. And I truly believe what Chris Rock once wrote, that every woman who's married is married to their second choice, meaning that their first choice was that guy that for some reason just wasn't into you, but you were so much more into him. And I give this advice to girls all the time, like marry a nerdy guy that likes you a lot more than you like him, because in the end you start to get into the pattern that John and Karen were, and it's not the honeymoon phase anymore. They're years into their relationship. So yeah, there is a give and take, and they have that dynamic of adopted kids, which is so unique to that situation. They're not her kids, like
totally
compared to a regular marriage.
Why do you think that why do you say that he's more into her than no, the other way around. She's more into him than he's into her. Why do you think that?
Yeah, because she's willing to buckle for him, her principles with regard to even that fight that they were having. She's willing to give in. She's chasing him around at a bar. Driving to the bar, what he wants to do. And I'll say this, I get annoyed if I have my spouse out with my friends in that situation, because then she has to entertain the guys, and we see that happening. She's good at it. She actually excels at it, meaning she's the only girl there. It's John and a guy drinking beer, watching sports. I don't think that's Karen's idea of a great night, but she wants to hang out with her boyfriend, so this is the only thing she could do is sort of tag along. But she's good with touching the guys, meaning physically touching the guys that she's with. Yeah, because married guys, we have zero affection. Like after a few years, 5 years, there's a girl in our building, our friend. Whenever she talks to you, she touches your arm. Like, it's great. Like, and she does it to everyone. It's not just me. But like, I had no attention with the guy. So it's like, I love talking to her. She talks. But Karen does that same thing, and I see it at the bar. So she's used to being this only girls type situation, because they're at a local towny bar, and there's Karen Reed with John. So that's why I say that she's definitely not the one telling John what to do, where to do it. Those type of relationships.
Sure.
Like your
yes,
mom
that's
and
a
Tim.
good
Like Tim has to do whatever your mom says, I'm sure.
Right. Yes. You're
Is
probably
Tim
right
Jewish?
about that. No. Nope.
Yeah. So then he's definitely listening to what your mom said. Your mom had enough with one Italian.
Yeah, for sure about that. So the other thing is, like, John is avoidant and Karen is anxious, and that really is the dynamic. So the reason why, like, the classic, one person is always chasing the other to get, their needs met kind of a thing, right? You do have that dynamic set up here, which is why this relationship was very unlikely to succeed in the end, right? I don't know that it was on its last legs yet. It might have been on its way there. I think it would have probably played out for a while longer had they, because there were kids involved and whatever. But she definitely is the anxious attachment. You don't call somebody 50 times, and leave these voicemails like, you pervert, I fucking hate you, this whole thing, the way she was. And at the same time, we see from John, he's like, stop calling me. Like, I'm taking the kid to the dentist, like whatever it was he was doing at that time. He's like, stop. Right. So you can see that his way of dealing is to, like, walk away, calm himself down, and then come back. And her way is to keep calling because she wants to get the situation resolved right away. That sets up exactly what you're talking about, which is she's always going to be the one to chase because she can't tolerate the discomfort of the uncertainty of their situation in that moment. Yep. Right. Yep. But the thing is, there's no violence here. Like, nobody on the planet has ever suddenly become violent at 46 years old or 42 or whatever she was. You don't suddenly become violent to the point where you're going to run over your partner at 24 miles per hour with a vehicle. That's not how this works. If there was any violence in Karen, it would have been something that would have come out like eons before and would have been a pattern through all of her relationships. So the idea that was always kind of asinine to me, that Karen was somebody who was, actively trying to get revenge or something. But there's just we would have seen it. Nobody, just like I said, becomes violent at 40 something years old because they're mad at their boyfriend. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and it's a great point, because when you're charging people with crimes, most of the time intent is so important. Almost every crime requires you to intend to commit the act that you're doing. So when they charge her with any type of intentional murder, that is way past what any of the evidence would show, because that's the only reason why you call those girls from Aruba, right, is to show that she had some intent. Yeah, right. Everyone's going to have, right? But they literally was going above and beyond what really could have happened. Was if you're drunk and then you hit someone, then it's going to be negligence or gross negligence. But negligence doesn't mean intent, right? It's not intent. Yeah. We better answer these questions before halftime.
I know. And I also think, and it's really important to mention this, I also think had they not done that, had they not upcharged her, it's very possible that she does plea down. But because they were, had to kind of, stick it to her because he was a cop, because they had to get too big for their britches, they thought they were, high and mighty, they absolutely went too far. That's what caused her to fight. Had they kept it to manslaughter under the influence, I don't know what the charge would have been. Fine, maybe she takes it. But
it's a crazy point. And think about it. Higgins could have got away with this because no one would have ever seen him testify. We never would have seen Brian Albert. We never would have known about their butt dials at 222 randomly. We would never know any of this. Right? Because your only job is to get Karen off in trial one. And if you're Yannetti, that's your only job, especially initially. And if you can plead out something where she doesn't have any type of potential jail time, you're taking it. Right? You have to take it. Have you ever been arrested?
And they weren't going to do it. No.
Have you ever been arrested? No. I was arrested once in college. We dropped a bottle out a window during the Yankees in the World Series, 1996. Not to harm it. I say we. It was me. And behind our dorm was this path, and it was stupid. It was Boone's Farm bottle that I dropped out there. I don't even know why I did it. It's so stupid. But the cops, they claim that it almost hit someone. It's such bullshit. But I had to go through the process, and I think I was a freshman. And when I went to court, I hired an old judge. I didn't tell my parents. I spent $1,000. I thought it was like $1 million, right? I'm like, some attorneys wanted $200. So, so the offer was that if you stay out of trouble for 6 months, you don't get arrested, they drop it completely. So there's no trial, nothing, and it gets actually sealed on your record. So yeah, I had to go through that process. I never was handcuffed, but I was fingerprinted, and I never had mugshot, but it was fingerprints for some reason. Yeah, but it's interesting, Sam, because we came up with a story that, my friend knocked into me. It was all like, and we told my attorney that. So initially we were going to go to trial, and this is what I say with regard to Karen. Like, I understand, like, you don't want to seem like you're guilty. Meanwhile, it's so stupid to lie to your own attorney. I didn't realize that. I almost went to trial over something that's so stupid where they're going to give me pretty much have it dismissed anyway. All they do is not get arrested for 6 months. So yeah, that was my one experience.
Wow, that's really interesting. That makes total sense, though, right? And it makes sense why people want to lie too, right?
Yeah,
to cover,
I know.
Especially like in Karen's case, she became close to her attorneys too. So it was like, she didn't want to have to admit any wrongdoing, which I kind of could understand.
Yeah,
completely.
I get it.
At Cynthia Marks 139 sends $4.99. Hi, Cynthia. Little Collins motive. Canton Select Board confirmed John O'Keefe's report to the Canton Police Department. Drug trafficking in his neighborhood, and he was investigating Colin Albert's friends. That's interesting. I got to go back and look at the Select report. We're talking about the Canton Select Board report.
Now, I heard there was a lie that was given to Aiden with regard to Colin dealing drugs. What is the history behind? Do you know the history behind that lie?
Yes, I do know the history of.
Yeah, because I tune it.
Yes.
I love Aiden.
Yeah. So that was.
I just want to say I'll fight for him with regard to being wrongfully arrested. But when he talks about any of the girls that he's banging, which is like 50% of his show, I tune out. I don't know anyone you ever hooked up with. Don't care. Like, I just don't have time right now for that. So I don't know who's feeding him information. I don't know who he's sexting with.
So there is some interesting stuff about those girls, though. Because again, your girlfriend, literally, Jen tries to use this girl that Aiden is hooking up with to get her to claim sexual assault to put him in jail. She actually leans on her, puts pressure on her to do it, and then is like, if you're really sorry, because she's like, I'm sorry, if you're really sorry, you'll testify in front of the grand jury against him, because they really want to bring him down, right? So the story there is actually Krusty Panties, whose whole life mission is.
And I don't know who that is.
Okay, so Kate
I really don't want to know.
It's really easy. It's a simple story. Okay. Kate Peter is somebody who in the early days of Aiden, they worked together. She was like one of his journalists. They worked together. They have a falling out over stupid stuff. But Kate is somebody who is going to go to great lengths to like prove her lies, right? Like, this is the kind of person she is. So she will do things like literally take like an old like legal filing and like, change
Saw
the
that.
date.
I did
and
see
like,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
it. So you're
she's-
dealing with someone who's nefarious, crazy. They don't
Yes,
care. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, got it.
And
Got
has
it. I
like
know
a
the
very
type.
like 7 kids and just whatever. Like, I'm not putting
I
that
know the
part of it
type.
down.
You can't
but-
do anything. Cut that person out of your life. Any Aiden or
Yes.
anyone. Just whatever you can
And
do,
he
cut
did.
him out.
He did, to be fair to him. He did. But she hates him, like with her whole entire
Yeah, I know.
life.
I get
like,
it. I
hating
get
on
it.
him. So she became friends with Jen and all those people because she was actively colluding with them to try to bring Aiden down. And she came up with the story about Colin. She actually somehow gets it to Aiden. He, to his credit, does not run with it because he doesn't believe it right away. He's like, is this true? So he was the one that gets the story, but it's from her, it's from Kate Peter, who eventually admits to bringing it to him and ultimately that it's not true. So
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the same story that we're talking about here or something different, but I'll look. I have the Canton Select Board. I have the report that they did, so I can go back and look. It's an interesting report. It's interesting what they come up with. And we can take a look. I don't know about how John would be investigating Colin's friends, only because John was doing sexual assault stuff, not so much drug stuff. But I mean, you might be right. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to be able to say definitively one way or the other. Jess Joe King sends $4.99. Brian, okay, so we're clarifying, I think, here. Brian Albert lied to the House defendants about protecting Colin because they would not lie for Brian Higgins. Oh, okay. HD didn't see phone with Brian Albert after John O'Keefe attacked in basement, hoping clears up previous. Okay. Read this for me. Brian Albert lied to the House defendants.
I think we're going to need a $20 super chat to clear up this one. But I think I get it.
They would
now.
not lie. All right, tell me what you hear. Here.
Hold on. Brian Albert lied to House defense. All right, so they're saying that Brian Albert's coming up with a lie with regard to Colin so that they would protect whatever lie that he's coming up with, even though Colin had nothing to do with it. Brian Albert's coming up with a lie saying that somehow Colin was involved, so you all have to stick to this lie. Although, technically, none of the House defendants have a real connection to Colin. I mean, it's not their son. It could be their nephew, but not their son, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this Chris Albert or Julie.
Chris is Colin's parents. Chris and Julie are Colin's
and he's
parents.
not involved in this here. Or
Chris
at
is
all.
not.
No, and neither is
not
Julie.
in this part, no.
No. Yeah,
No.
so, and that was a question I told you I'd always get. It's like, why would everyone lie for Brian Higgins? It's not so much that. Generally, you're going to lie for self-preservation, and then maybe for other people, but generally it's focused on you and preserving your own self. So I don't know how everyone has to have like this actual motive to protect Colin or to protect Brian Albert or Higgins. But there is something up. There is something up because what Sam brought up and what I appreciate now is that you have to figure out what they're lying about and why they're lying. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're lying to cover up the murder. The lying about the Jeep could be for another reason. We know that Precious Angel is lying about the Jeep location, but the question is, why is she doing it?
Right.
What is she covering up with regard to that? Is it the murder, or is it just her own embarrassment, or is she sticking with the story? Like, there's other reasons potentially.
Right. And Jen is pretty good. One of the things that's interesting about Jen is pretty good about lying when she sticks to the rehearsed statements. Like, she can get those out pretty good. But when she doesn't, when she's off script, she completely falls apart. That's also because I went back and looked at the 911 call again, that there's some moments in that call that I missed the first 2 times because I only did one analysis of the enhanced call. The enhanced call is really important because you can hear crystal clear every word that she says. You cannot hear every word on the initial recording, and you really can hear it really perfectly. So there's a couple of things in there. I think she was given, like, the man passed out. It was supposed to be an unresponsive man in the snow or something to that, right? So she gets that right 2 out of the 3 times that she says it. But anything else, as soon as the dispatch starts asking questions and she's not just giving statements, she absolutely falls apart. It's like, she can't, she just falls apart completely. And, that's where we get the, I just showed up and I just found him and just distancing like crazy. But there's also some interesting moments on there where she actually gets angry at dispatch, and she does this big like sigh. There's also a moment, and you have to hear this. Did I put this out? I put this out in my video with the steps, but it's kind of buried in there because it's a long video. There's somebody caught like singing, like do do do, no shit,
Really?
in that voicemail.
Wait, the voicemail?
On the voicemail.
Which voicemail are you referring to?
All right, Karen is on the phone calling John when they're pulling up to 34
Got it.
Fairview. Okay, so 6:02:41. The call is the phone is the pocket stage is cleared. 6:03 and change. Jen is calling 911. So sometime between those two things, they get to the scene. Karen goes to John. Carrie goes to John. Jen says, "I'm calling." She goes to call 911, but Karen has dropped the cell phone in Carrie's car. So that 4 minutes, we get the entire 4 minutes of what's going on in the car. And you can hear the girls screaming and yelling, Jen, Carrie. You can also hear Jen making the 911 call. So she never really leaves that area. You can hear the whole thing all the way through.
Wait,
it's in
where
the
is this
background.
file?
It's in there. It's
where?
273 in the Corey.
In Corey's. Oh, okay. Can we use a
Yeah, I think
different
it's
word besides
273.
that? I can't stand.
Sorry, I didn't mean. Yes.
What could the production?
In the document.
Production, we call it.
Extravaganza, yes. In the production of all of the, in the
Yes,
new
FOIA
FOIA
production. Thank
yes, that's a better one. In the FOIA production, that 4 minutes is there. They do play the whole thing in trial too.
Yeah, for some reason, I never appreciated that side vocals from the voicemails. I remember the one about her and her high heels, but not that one. That's interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's crazy.
And in there, at the end, I think it's after she makes the call, it sounds like she goes closer to the phone, which is the back seat, and is like, do, like makes an actual, like humming thing. There's another
Raining
sentence. Men? It wasn't It's Raining Men. There's also a question in there. She does sound at one point like she says, you guys will know, chat will know, something to the effect of like, are you coming out? There is a moment where it's hard to make out, but she does seem like she's talking to somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah, Corey and I hate that song It's Raining Men because just the premise would be so annoying to us.
It's a terrible song anyway, though.
I love the song, actually. We just hate the premise.
This is funny. I didn't see it. At Stuttering John Corleone. That's cute. Sends $2. Higgins went to the PD to get the bag out of the truck. What was in the bag? I mean, we know he does get that big bag. What was in the bag?
Well, who knows? I mean, it could be innocent. It could not be. The question is, where does Brian go after he leaves that Canton PD? And that would be in his phone records. I still believe that it's out there. And I'll accept service, Brian Higgins. Well, if I get sued, I mean, she should be able to get it now in the civil suit.
Yes. Do you think we'll ever see the stuff that comes out in the civil suit?
Yeah, eventually someone will leak it. Or you just attach it to a document and then you make a motion with it. There's ways
and then we can all get it.
Yeah.
Sister, hi sissy, at Jackie Benigno sends $4.99. Hey sis and Lube, sending love from South Florida, going back and forth between you and Corey Richens, trial day 1. Love ya. Yeah, I've heard about this trial. I don't know anything about it. I know it's being covered. And also I know that Melanie at 3:00 today is having the Faust attorney on her channel. So that should be really interesting.
Oh, the black dude?
Yes.
Oh, I love that guy. He was so good. So good. You know,
it's a really heartbreaking story.
It is. Like, and again, like, we don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I don't know who's guilty, who's innocent, but I know for certain that boyfriend was so suspect on the stand, the white boyfriend. So it was crazy.
Really bad. I mean, the entire, I have to finish going through it, but I plan to release an interpretation of his testimony. It's so long. It's going to be very long. So I have to figure out a way to expedite it. But when he's giving his alibi, the whole time he's talking about what would have happened. He doesn't realize he's doing that, but he's just telling us a story. I mean, it's not from memory at all.
Yeah. Jackie must love South Florida. And she's watching BET, the Black Entertainment Channel.
Why do you say that? How do you know
she says she's flipping between Corey Richens, Black Entertainment Channel and us.
No, I don't know who is the Corey Richards trial. Do we know?
That's what you said. That Jackie just said.
No, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know it either. But she's watching it apparently.
She is. We just don't know who that is. But I've heard other people mentioning that. And I don't know what.
Jackie's watching all the Latino men shirtless jogging. Everyone's so fit down in South Florida. It's so annoying.
Right? At Pro Gamer V15 is a member for 4 months. Vince is very brave, sharing his feelings. High cross comments are a way of deflecting and protecting if he's anything like my husband. Oh, that's true. I like that.
I don't know if that's a compliment, but okay.
Well, I think it kind of is, right?
His crass comments are a way of deflecting. Yeah, that is true. And protecting. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, and also the first part, though, sharing your feelings.
Well, that I like, and that's what I learned from your boss your old boss after 25 years, is that you have to reveal things about yourself if you want to be entertaining on a certain level. You know, it's one thing to come on here and act as if you know everything about the law, but it's another to actually reveal certain personal things where a lot of times we don't get that from people on YouTube or anywhere really. But Howard Stern was very key.
Why? Yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
Howard Stern was very key about revealing personal details. He wasn't this womanizer that everyone thinks if you never were really a fan of the show. It was more about revealing the boringness of marriage and wanting to hook up with other girls. These are what guys think. So if you want to know what a man thinks and you want the truth, and women sometimes appreciate the truth, is what we think about. And just,
fair enough, right? Fair enough. W Doppler 1 sends 1999. So was John's phone in the house the AM of when 404 movement started? 604 movement.
604, yeah.
Right now, that there's no other conclusion to come to, because if you believe that somebody starts picking up that phone at 604 and moving around, nobody that we see on that scene is moving the 432 steps from 604 to I think it's 615. There's nobody on that scene at that moment doing that. So if you take the phone literally, if we are going to use that phone and its movement as though it is, it's ironclad, there's no way that it's not Karen, it's not Carrie, and it's not Jen. They're just not moving anywhere near that much. Karen and Carrie go right to John, and they are literally on their knees, side by side with him. Then Jen is on 911 on the call, but the entire time, because of Karen's message, we can hear her. We know that she's by the back gate of the phone. She's standing next to the car, but I think blocked by Carrie's car hood thing, the trunk. So she's in the car. She doesn't go anywhere else. We can hear her literally on that phone call the whole time. So that takes us to, I think it's 6:08. So, and then from there, she drops the phone and goes, Carrie says, Jen, come do CPR. So she comes next to John and we see them. They are literally, Jen is like laying over him. We have pictures of them at 6:09 when Officer Seraph pulls up. So now we can actually see them, because on the widescreen of that dash cam, not the one we normally see, but the widescreen, you can actually see them all in the corner right there with him. They get up. And when they get up and they because the ambulance arrives and the girls move, that's when we have Karen right in front of Officer Seraph's vehicle, and she's running back and forth with her hand covered. All of that movement is during a no steps period on that phone. So when those women are, most mobile, Carrie goes and makes a phone call. That's when there's supposed to be no steps on the phone.
Can we table this though with me until I can actually see the time frames of the steps? Because I know what you're saying, but I just don't know if the steps were actually technically at 6:03, or are they in a range between 6:03 and 6:04 and whatever. I want to just see that before I can
They are in a range, but as I said, it doesn't matter where you are at any point in that range. There's not that movement.
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. I just want to see it.
But the cool thing, and this is really cool, Vince, that because of Corey, we can see it. The vast majority.
No, I want to see the actual document.
Oh, well, the document.
But not right now. Yeah, when we get before I.
But what I'm saying is, the cool thing is you can also see everybody on the screen, so you actually know whether or not they're moving.
Agreed.
Which is pretty cool too. This is a great question. Bobby Bikes from New Hampshire sends $5. I love this picture. What came of Brian Albert in an arm sling not long after John was murdered? Yeah, I don't know the timing on that photo, and I'm not sure if we know the timing on that photo. Maybe Aiden would. He's probably the only person that might know the answer to that because he would have been around, would have been on it much more quickly than all of us. But that is a very suspect picture. You know the picture of him in the arm sling?
Sort of. And what is the origin of that photo?
So he's at a bar, Brian Albert. He's at a bar and he's in a full arm sling, like his arm is broken. People have suggested that photo was potentially after the incident. The truth is, I don't know if anybody knows when that photo really came or where it came from. It's certainly incriminating as hell when you see it. You're like, Jesus Christ. It looks like the background at Fenway Johnny's, but I don't know if that's the same picture. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was a particular period in time that was captured and presented in trial 1 by the defense. Yeah. So I think we are back. I think we are up to speed on all of our, no, I'm wrong. Miss Emily. Hello, Emily. I just texted you a clip. Rafferty confirmed John looking into drug activity, not claiming this goes to motive, just confirming John. Thank you, Miss Emily. So that also confirms what somebody else was saying, what Cynthia was saying in the chat earlier. So
yeah. And can we confirm
helpful.
The story I told you that hopefully I'm not making it up, that Karen actually videoed something on John's behalf for some official police drug stakeout?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll say, can we confirm? I'll figure it out. But I keep writing that note down. We haven't seen it yet, though.
All right. So let me want me to play this and
now?
see? Yeah. We can take a break and I can play this in the meantime. This is going to be the Canton. This is Chief Rafferty, the chief of police, at a Canton Select Board meeting confirming the, John looking into Colin.
Oh, interesting. All right. I'd like to see that.
So I will play this and we will take a break. Let me get little Emily off the screen there. Thank you, Emily, for sending. Okay, here we go. I will take you off. We will go on break and we will go out listening to this Canton Select Board meeting. Just give me 1 minute to pull it up here. Where is it? Hold on, guys. Here we go. Okay. Sharing screen, Canton Select Board meeting. Here we go.
Again, this is a witness in a case. Additionally, I know it's been circulated that John O'Keefe had conversations with Canton police detectives related to drug activity in that neighborhood. Well, I'm here to confirm that. He absolutely did. He reached out to the detective unit directly. However, none, and let me repeat that, none of his well-documented correspondence with us included anyone alleged by Aiden Kearney to be involved in this case. The point I'm trying to underscore with these statements, with the examples that I put forth as well, is the same one I was trying to make in my initial statement. Take information in and verify it. Be patient while all aspects of the case unfold. This system is painfully slow, and it should be, as the gravity of its process holds the liberty of someone in its midst. Follow the actual trial. Listen to all the information. Let the courtroom be the forum where both sides get to present their case in full. Then make your own informed decision, whatever that's going to be. I know that mistrust for the Canton Police Department has taken root around this case. Based on the feedback that I and officers have received, I'm not sure that it is nearly as widespread as portrayed by one of the speakers at the last meeting. However, I do acknowledge that it is there, and I hear you. I believe the first step in bridging that trust gap is effective and healthy communication. I'm also open to discussing ideas that residents believe will help build that fractured trust amongst those experiencing it. So let me reiterate, I am willing to meet with any Canton resident one-on-one, wherever in town you would feel most comfortable, so that we can have a dialogue where you can ask questions and you can get a sense of who I am and what I stand for as the leader of the Canton Police Department. And finally, as I close, and I am so grateful that these final words I have will be memorialized on camera. No matter what the jury decides in the O'Keefe case, I will always be able to look in any mirror I pass. My children will always be able to view me as a person of integrity, and I will always be able to look the O'Keefe family members in their eyes, because there is absolutely no evidence of a cover-up in the tragic death of John O'Keefe. Thank you for your time. You know where to find me. Again, he was disingenuous. Jennifer McCabe was in fact home when he presented. How Aidan Kearney, AKA Turtle Boy, manipulated my message was certainly not how it was intended. However, as with many things in this case thus far, Aidan Kearney has shown that his perception is not the reality of the situation. And here's a few examples. Aidan Kearney falsely reported that one of my children dates the daughter of Jennifer McCabe. My children have never, ever met any of the McCabe children. Responsible journalists would have fact-checked that. It's such easy information to confirm. And still, to my knowledge, that has not been retracted. Nowhere has Aidan Kearney stated, hey folks, mea culpa. Why? Perhaps because it would bring into question the veracity of his many other allegations and theories. Aidan Kearney has also insinuated the slanderous allegation that I had an inappropriate relationship with Chief Berkowitz, and as a result, he appointed me to my current position. Notwithstanding the fact that Kenny Berkowitz is not the appointing authority for this town, I can only hope that such a statement outrages every woman in this community, for we fought hard against these abhorrent, defamatory stereotypes for decades. In the days leading up to his rolling rally, Aidan Kearney reported to everyone that Jennifer McCabe had fled to Maine to avoid his event. Again, he was disingenuous. Jennifer McCabe was in fact home when he and 75 to 80 people in 40 to 50 cars pulled up in front of her home with the bullhorn. She was inside with her husband and two of her 4 children. She watched this group of both residents and strangers converge on her home. Can you imagine the terror she must have felt for the safety of her children based on the state of the world today? Again, this is a witness in a case. Additionally, I know it's been circulated that John O'Keefe had conversations with Canton police detectives related to drug activity in that neighborhood. Well, I'm here to confirm that. He absolutely did. He reached out to the detective unit directly. However, none, and let me repeat that, none of his well-documented correspondence with us included anyone alleged by Aidan Kearney to be involved in this case. The point I'm trying to underscore with these statements, with the examples that I put forth as well, is the same one I was trying to make in my initial statement. Take information in and verify it. Be patient while all aspects of the case unfold. This system is painfully slow, and it should be, as the gravity of its process holds the liberty of someone in its midst. Follow the actual trial. Listen to all the information. Let the courtroom be the forum where both sides get to present their case in full. Then make your own informed decision, whatever that's going to be. I know that mistrust for the Canton Police Department has taken root around this case. Based on the feedback that I and officers have received, I'm not sure that it is nearly as widespread as portrayed by one of the speakers at the last meeting. However, I do acknowledge that it is there, and I hear you. I believe the first step in bridging that trust gap is effective and healthy communication. I am also open to discussing ideas that residents believe will help build that fractured trust amongst those experiencing it. So let me reiterate, I am willing to meet with any Canton resident one-on-one, wherever in town you would feel most comfortable, so that we can have a dialogue where you can ask questions and you can get a sense of who I am what I
What do you
stand
think
for
of
as
this?
the leader of the Canton Police Department.
This is weird. Here, you want here, boss? Yeah, the fact that she's even saying I will meet with anyone is very odd. That's not what a leader does. You're not going to say any one of my constituents, my thousands of people. You want to come meet with me, and I'll try and defend Jen McCabe and everyone else with regard to this. Very odd thing to do. So we went from a Jewish chief to a female chief, and then she's gone. Now we got a black guy in there, right? Is that the order?
I think
Doesn't
so.
matter to me, obviously, but it is funny that these two predecessors of the current chief are really into protecting the Alberts for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just like, again,
Go ahead.
I don't understand exactly what she's trying to accomplish here, besides the fact that she's trying to advocate on behalf of the McCabes. Now, put yourself in Precious Angel's situation. If you were at a house and people were doing this to you, how would you feel with your daughter there?
Well, this feels a little bit kind of like payback, though. I mean, first off, let me put this in context. This is August of 2023. Isn't that exactly when, what's his name, Morrissey makes his statement about the allegations being absolutely false? I think it's the same time. I know it's in August, and I believe it's 2023. It can't be 24 because that was after the first trial. So it has to be in August. So at the same time, the DA is putting out a statement defending them as well. And so what that says to me is they were essentially at their wits' end with Turtle Boy, right?
Yeah.
Like they were at their wits' end. This is after the rolling rally, and that was kind of like the breaking point for law enforcement in the area, who just felt that was, these were witnesses. This is completely unjust. And you can hear in her here, let me reiterate, this is a witness. So this is setting up the witness intimidation charges that are going to come down for Aiden, who does not know it's coming, right? He doesn't know it's coming at all at this point. So to me, that's what this was. And I don't know why they are so hell-bent on protecting these people. I don't know. I would love to know.
It's that small pond. It's something where you're being a locale if you're Jen and everyone else, meaning you're getting criticism. Instead of just either ignoring it or embracing it, you're doing the exact opposite, and you're getting people to fight on your behalf. We see it in YouTube all the time. You cannot have a thin skin when you're forced into this arena, and they are. You don't go running to the cops every time someone actually does it. And, if you think about it, either you ignore everyone in front of your house or bring them out some treats and join them. It's crazy how you can utilize their energy right against them if you wanted to do it. But once you start fighting back like they're doing, then you're into this whole issue.
Well, and to your point, it just raises all the questions. It's like, if Jennifer, if Brian Albert, if Nicole Albert, if these people don't testify against each other, if their own statements do not conflict with each other's statements, there's no discussion, there's no conversation, there's no need for any accusation against them whatsoever. The problem is that they undermine themselves, and to your point, with their behavior, with the way that they, are treating the feds, the way that they are constantly on the defensive. Like you're saying, there's a way to handle yourself in this arena, and every way that they elect to do so does nothing but escalate any kind of attention, any kind of movement against them. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, one of the advice we give to YouTube clients is that never block anyone for any reason. That's be consistent, but the never block anyone for any reason is very important because, one, this is an entertainment field. You're trying to get as many people to watch as possible. Even if they hate you, they want to watch you. And I learned that from your boss, your old boss, Howard Stern. That's a critical aspect of becoming popular, is that. Now, to be a part of Tuesday's show, The Forensic Files, you have to be subscribe for 4 weeks. 4 weeks, and then you have the privilege to engage with them in their videos. I mean, this is contrary to everything I ever taught, but maybe Tuesday has something. So I wait 4 weeks to go on the show as a different account. And I tell the girls how big of a fan I am of Tuesday. I'm trying to get Tuesday on the show, how much I love Tuesday, and I get timed out by them. I had to wait 4 weeks, and I couldn't even get my real message, was that it's an honor and a privilege to even be texting with you girls. Tuesday, would you want to come on our show? But I got timed out before, and so I got to wait another 4 weeks with a different account.
That's crazy to me. So what's funny about that is if you go back, because I've only heard a few segments of their stuff, and the very first few shows, one of the big proclamations was how they weren't going to do that, how they wanted to welcome people with opposing voices, which is just absurd because they've done everything in their power to do the opposite, right? To take down anyone that has a different opinion, and to do so preemptively. Like, it's not even, you don't even have to say anything that's like scandalous. It's just immediately they're like, oh, no, time out. It's just, it's crazy. What did you expect? You can't control that completely. Like, there's never gonna, like you're saying, to your point, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the story is over there. I think you already know.
I'm an authentic, huge fan. I didn't say anything negative at all. I just said that I love Tuesday. Will you marry me? Something like that. And
did they know it was you?
Well, I had my name on it. What we don't do is, with regard to like the actual main channel, we don't chat on it because there is a chance, it's not very likely, but there's a chance YouTube can block you for inappropriate comments, and I may be known to make some sometimes. It's not very likely, but it's not worth the risk. So I have other channels, obviously, and then if you want to bother people with your fake accounts, I do that as well. But yeah, it was definitely my name and my picture. I can't necessarily confirm that it's me, but it was nothing negative. It was all positive, obviously. I'm a big fan of Tuesday. I always show you guys. I mean, tomorrow's my favorite day of the week.
Yes, we know about Tuesday. Yes. That's very funny. I mean, listen, it is what it is over there. To me, what I would love to hear from them, which they never do, of course. I mean, they always just recycle the same nonsense over and over, which is like the tech stream data, Judson Welcher, which is embarrassing for them. I get embarrassed when they mention him, but yet they have to because there's no other evidence to draw from, right? It's funny, you never hear Kevin do that. And I think that's just because he was not as close. He wasn't really following the second trial as much, but he doesn't really bring up Judd because of course he doesn't, because who would if you are trying to defend the Commonwealth here? Like, he's the last person you'd ever mention because he's so not credible, and that's so obvious. And they paid so much money for him, which is ridiculous. But all of that aside, right? Like, to me, it's like, you would think, okay, they know, Tuesday knows. I've heard her mention like statement analysis, right? I've heard her say, oh, well, she's trying to address people like me who are out there highlighting the inconsistencies in their statements. You would think you would address it. Like, if you're going to make a point, if you're going to present information and you're going to go up against anyone who sort of has a different opinion, isn't your job to present an actual argument that is in opposition to that? Like, show us how honest Jen is being. You come up with a reason for why all of them and their statements do not align.
I did.
I just don't understand why they never do it.
You want me to do it? Yeah. Tuesday, don't listen to her. You do a great job. And I'll text you in 4 weeks from now, and hopefully you'll finally respond. Yeah, what's funny? When I was watching Emily do the sidebars, I didn't realize they had a discussion about rehoming. Now, maybe you can inform me more about as to what they were talking about in the sidebar. Did you hear that part?
You're talking about Chloe?
Using the word rehome.
Yes.
All right, but before you go, the funniest thing to me was when Judge Cannoni objects, she sustains an objection, but then, as she usually does, she asks the question, which is generally not proper, but I guess she's allowed to do that. So at one point, she totally forgets all this and asked the Mrs. Albert,
did you get rid of your dog?
Oh, God, I fucking love And of course, like, there's so much humor in all that because there's so much fighting over that. They don't want to use rehome, they get rid of, they want to use rehome. And then she has to tell it to the judge who's there protecting him for the most part. Yeah. So what was the behind the scenes issue with regard to using rehome?
I think it was Alan Jackson. I remember this sort of vaguely. And so correct me if I'm wrong, anyone
I don't
listening.
know, because, I didn't see it.
I think what is going on there is Alan Jackson is sort of responding like, I'm not trying to be argumentative by saying get rid of. Like, how else are you supposed to say it? Like, rehomed. I've never even heard that statement until, never heard that before. Like, what do people say? To me, it would have been like adoption. I gave the dog up for adoption, right? So Jackson is trying to make the argument that he's not being argumentative and framing it that way, that he's just like, how else is he supposed to talk about it? He's like, I've never heard of rehomed until these people. Yeah,
does she at one point say you can say get rid of, or she goes against it?
I don't remember what the verdict is at the end of that interaction. I think he's allowed to say it. I think at the end of that, he's allowed to say it. Yeah.
Because no matter what, it is hilarious that we know she's going to say it when she's not thinking. You know, what she's doing very quickly because she has to bring up her own question. I love that part.
It's really funny. She tries because she's interesting. I think it's really interesting to see her interactions with Alan Jackson because I know how they came across in real time. And it's interesting how she, at one point, she apologizes. If you thought that I was, singling you out, or I was coming, if I was specifically calling you out, I apologize, which is like exactly what in psychology we tell people not to do, right? It's because it's completely dismissive of the other person. It's invalidating. It's like, well, if you felt that way, then I'm sorry you felt that way.
I was going to reinforce that thing because a lot of people, and myself included, have to learn to apologize, and it's very, very important in life. I've never heard an apology growing up, not until I was like 18 or 19, in terms of like my friends where we grew up. Then I went to college, and my two roommates got into a fight, and then one came and apologized. And I never understood the power of apology. I never heard another guy in our age group apologize ever before. And it was so critical. And then, once they did, especially for guys, things are just forgotten. Like if it's an authentic apology, but you're saying that the apology has to be, I'm sorry for, not I'm sorry if. I'm sorry for harming your feelings. I'm sorry for calling you out. Not I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. That's not an apology.
No, it's really not, right?
It took me so long to learn that, by the way.
Because you're not owning your behavior, right?
Exactly.
What you're saying is, well, if I harmed you in some way, I apologize, right? So it's sort of not taking responsibility for your part of it. You can speak to your intent not being that, but not say it in such an invalidating way. But of course, it's Judge Bev, so she's going to exactly state it that way. But it is interesting, like Emily points this out too, where she says in the beginning of that video how the niceties really crumble from trial 1 to trial 2 during the sidebars. Like it's really just like them speaking directly to each other instead of trying to use lawyer speak to do it. And it's interesting how much she hates Alessi, which I knew.
Really?
I mean, she was very, very rude to him. She hates
I haven't
him.
seen that, really. Because he's so respectful, at least outwardly,
so
to the court. So behind the scenes, she's being rude to Alessi, or
she's behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. So she gets very impatient with him. So you know how Alessi is the kind of lawyer who he's going to restate every word. He really tries to, build a foundation, but it's very methodical. And he starts at the beginning and he goes all the way through, and you get to the good stuff, but it's like an hour and a half later. And she hates that, right? But she tries to move him along, and she just kind of can't. And so it just ends up being that they battle kind of the whole time.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, again, he's coming from that DLA Piper background, which normally would never be in this forum. She never sees a DLA Piper attorney, even in any of the top 25 major law firms ever, because it's not going to be in there for the most part. So that's interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, and it took me a long time to figure out what was going on there. Like, I could not figure out why the judge was so just nasty to Jackson and then Alessi, like later. And ultimately, it's, she was a defense attorney too. So I think it's this, you're not going to come in here with your big shot California and New York self and, tell me what to do in my courtroom. Like, I'm going to show you who's boss. And she kind of, really insists that they be under her control kind of the whole way through.
Yeah, and I get that it's her court. I don't think that people from Boston necessarily have this mentality that people from New York are so much smarter, so much better. I get what you're saying. Let's say if it's a Florida court or a Midwest court, I don't know if she would really think that they're any bit better. But you do hear, you're right, you do hear her say, well, I was never a prosecutor, which is an excuse, right, for not knowing what the rules would be. This was with regard to the ethical violation potentially of talking to a witness while they're on the stand. And Lally was potentially talking to Brian Albert. And she, instead of saying, I don't know, I'll find out, she has to bring up the point that she wasn't a prosecutor like everyone else here was, which is totally an excuse for not knowing the information, which is fine. If you don't know, you look it up. That's what you're supposed to do. It's interesting.
Interesting. I didn't catch that she actually says that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, at one point she did. So I guess she never was a prosecutor, which obviously you don't have to be. Do you know for the Supreme Court, you don't have to be an attorney to be nominated?
You do not?
No, I didn't know that either. But yeah, apparently that's the truth. Not that
what
it's
do you
ever
have
happened.
to be?
Anything. You just have to be nominated through the process that we have. I bet, well, I guess we could figure out if there ever was a non-attorney on the Supreme Court. And maybe I'm wrong with that.
That's really interesting. That seems like unlikely, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure if it ever happened, but supposedly that's what I was told. If there's
wow,
only
that's
a way to
really,
look it
really
up.
interesting. That is very, very interesting. Let me get some of these questions here.
And thank everyone for the super chats. That's how we really fund this show. So I do appreciate all the super chats. Now, I don't get any cut of the gifted memberships or memberships, so you can cut down on the another one.
Oh, just ignore him. Jenny Lou.
But I do appreciate it.
Of course. Yay. So happy to join you today during the wild blizzard. Stay well, people. You too. And thank you so much for being with us. We so appreciate you. Karma Dharma 8 sends $2. Hard Colin lost scholarship because drug dealing. John O'Keefe reported to Canton PD. That's interesting. I heard Colin. Maybe. I mean, well, I don't know. To me, whether he lost a scholarship or not, my guess would be that Colin couldn't hang too far away from home. I mean, clearly, according to his father, he can't barely get out of bed these days. Which is sad. It's sad that these people, nobody wants to see that, right? Like, it really bothers me when the foreskin girls will make comments about how all of us like to watch Colin Albert, be devastated by this. That's absolutely absurd. It's horrific what has happened to him. The fact that he couldn't graduate from college, the fact that he can't leave his freaking house without being paranoid. It's horrible. That's terrible. So
if he had nothing to do with it.
Well, either way, though, like his parents.
Well, no, not necessarily. If he had something to do with it,
clean.
If he had something to do with it, then I have no sympathy for him. I don't believe he did, but if he did, then this is part of nature. No one's harming him physically if he loses his.
But everybody should have come clean, right? Like whatever happened, they should have come clean. That's the whole point.
I had told you that the only way Colin can be cleared potentially is through his father, Chris Albert, who comes clean and discloses everything that happened at the waterfall that you've seen, and maybe any information that you have not disclosed. By protecting Brian Albert and anyone else, you are harming Colin Albert, your son. So in order to free your son, Chris, you can do it. And I know, just in a psychological sense, you don't necessarily love your brother or sister. Technically, they're an enemy in theory for your parents' love. But
sure,
Chris, you have the chance to help Colin by joining us. And I'm saying this with sincerity. And I told you that I'm going to reach out to him some way and clearing Colin's name, because Colin's going to live on for a long time, most likely way past you. And until you clear his name, meaning you figure out exactly how and when Brian Higgins did this and help us prove that, Colin will always be a suspect. Colin will always be looked at as someone that potentially did this. And Chris, you have the potential to help your son out, not by all your talk of going on all these other shows and talking about nothing. It's by figuring out how to prove Brian Higgins did this and helping us do it. We're going to do it, but you can help your son by doing this.
Yeah, for sure. W Doppler 1 sends $4.99. Make sure you enable purchase. Membership is on. Trying to buy some for a few people. Should be on. That's crazy.
Turn those off today.
Let me double check. I will check for you. They should be on. I've never, ever ever turned it off. So let me find out what's going on with that. Thank you for letting me know. I will definitely double check. I actually have heard, though, that this has been a problem lately. I've heard it from other people. I've even heard it from other live streams where people have had problems with the button that you're supposed to do super chats or whatever. So
Yeah.
that could be what it is, but I'll double check.
Sometimes it's from the phone that you're using, or if you're doing mobile
Right.
compared to the computer. But again, when Sam and I are on, I do appreciate those super chats and not so much the memberships. I'm joking.
You can ignore him. Definitely, though, hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button. I always forget to say it. Definitely hit the like button, guys. Take a second to hit the like button if you haven't already. At Lickagitis sends 99. I never know how to say that. Have you guys watched the case analysis video? I think their investigation explains the night really well. Chloe plays main role there, and both BS, freak out, and cover up. What is
Both Brian's.
BS? Both Brian's. Thank you. So the only thing, I think I have seen it, and the problem with this video, there's actually a number of things about the case analysis video that are problematic in terms of the data. Do you want to handle? Do you remember this video?
No, I don't know I know the video. I've seen it, and when I tune out is when I hear that Chloe was the catalyst, meaning that somehow she knocked John over, and that's how he banged his head. When people say that, now that could be complete confirmation bias, but if that was the case, no one's going to go down for the stupid dog, right? If the dog actually attacked John, unless, of course, there's something in Brian Albert's back of his head that he is going to have some liability, but I mean, you have insurance and whatever. There could be. There is a small incentive for him to cover up for the dog, but I just don't buy it yet, so maybe I'm just dismissing it.
So there's a number of things. First off, the injuries on John don't line up with, there was a fight. That's number one. Number two, there's a big list, but number two, one of the things that is interesting about the Lank, the recordings that we have of Mike Lank that morning, at first, when he said, I think there's been a fight or whatever, or I forget exactly how he says it, but when he does say that to CPAC, at first I thought I was kind of praising him for that, because I thought, wow, he's like actually saying what probably most of them are thinking. But now I wonder if that's actually the opposite. If he's saying that because he knows that, and he's trying to distance himself. Like, in other words, everyone's going to look at him right away and think, oh, this guy knows them. He's covered for them before. The other cops know that too. So my thought is he's saying that because he's trying to make it clear to the other people, the other cops, that like, I don't know anything about this, right? So it's kind of like, it's the opposite of, how it appears, like he's just being transparent.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because of the way that he's framing it also, it speaks to deception, and it's very unclear what else could mean in that context. So that's partly why. But there's other details too, like the rest of the people in the house. There's so many reasons that I don't think, in other words, that video basically takes anybody out of the running for having any personal liability whatsoever.
Gotcha.
That it's Chloe. Yeah. And to me there's no way there was a fight.
There's too much. You have to think, if you think about it, you have one of the 10 potential people, and I'm including Chloe, threatening John at the waterfall, taunting him on video, and then the 1220 that wasn't sent by Chloe, 1220 text saying, you coming here, him overhearing that at
They're
12,
coming.
18, all of a sudden, because Brian, he doesn't know, and I believe that he doesn't know, and he's sitting there like a sad sack that he is. He's not Mr. Party Animal. And think about it, envision Brian. Either you're really placating him as Brian Albert looking at Brian Higgins, or he's looking at the two girls and Brian Albert Jr. and just sitting there not drinking or drinking something, right? But he's not the life of the party. But
no, he's waiting.
Yeah, when that energy comes in of Jen McCabe, who we know is on the phone and moving and gets there and speaking to John and telling him exactly where to go, and that what circles back to why that map is so important, because now he's going to have some time in between to make that text and to get ready for them to show up, because things might have been different, obviously, if Karen exited the vehicle, but I think that Higgins either is looking outside or he's already outside knowing that John is coming. He knows John's coming. He knows at 12:20.
He's waiting for John to come.
Yeah, he's waiting, and he sent that text. So you those are such critical pieces of evidence that no one else in this world did. Plus, he had an incentive because he was in love with the guy's girlfriend, right? Chloe wasn't, Colin Albert wasn't, little Brian Jr. Albert definitely wasn't in love with Karen, most likely John. So they had no incentive, right? So the only one with the incentive is sitting out there drunk and getting ready to fight, and he has the means.
Right. And one of the things that is so important about the waterfall video in hindsight is that Karen is giving him incentive to fight. Karen is sending all the signals to Brian Higgins that she likes him. That's a real problem for Brian Higgins when we look at this case and who might have been mostly responsible, because it does give him a motive. Right? Like, had she see, because before I realized that she was really flirting and thought about what Sergio had said over and over again about, but he didn't feel ignored. It didn't make sense. Like, it just didn't make sense. Like, why, it felt more like he was going there to talk to John, not to beat him up. But because of Karen ending up right next to him by the end of the night, it does lend itself to, like, there was no communication between the two of them after the kiss, right? So it is starting to look more and more like he is starting to take his aggression not out on Karen, but out on John.
Yeah. And I actually want to go back at some point and watch, because everyone's saying that there is a lot of communication that we missed between John and Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Now, I didn't see that yet, but maybe it's in the full video of the waterfall. I haven't analyzed it yet. Yeah, that's crazy. No, when you brought me to that mindset, and then you start to see, if you really truly didn't like a person, you wouldn't end up next to them at this location. In fact, like, if you knew someone that you hated was there, you'd make a quick exit, right? You wouldn't hang around. But by that time, he can smell her. Like, her hair is there. It's there. Everything that's raw in a human is there. She is definitely sending him signals. And they've done this before, because when John's there, she has to ignore him for the most part, right? And now that we know that that John was ghosted by Higgins, this is like more important, because he stops talking to John completely. So it's not as if they were friendly that morning. No, he stopped the second his girlfriend basically made out with him, and the next morning they had that. But that was it. So there could be a huge incentive. He knows that there is. And if he can eliminate John, then it's just him for Karen. And the fucked up thing is, it worked. Karen actually, when Karen texted him John died, it's interesting. Yeah, because you got her to respond to you. Yeah. John died. Yeah. Like, why would you even text him that? And I get Karen, like, in an innocent way. He knows they've been texting, they're friends, they were just there. Higgins already knows John died, and he never responds. That's a whole nother issue. But it is so scary how it took us all this time really to get to where we are right now. But it's great. I mean, it's great. It's crazy to see that we're all doing this together, because if it wasn't for everyone just putting their input and coming up with theories and testing them, we wouldn't be this close to really solving
unknowing. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I'm such an appreciation for everybody, right? And their effort. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like, even Sergio coming up with that theory, like, and never in a million years would I have thought she was even interested in communicating with Higgins at this point. I had told you, I thought they met, there was no chemistry, and I was totally wrong about that. Like, it wasn't just one first time meeting, and that's what you brought to my attention. And to see what was going on at that waterfall, and then to see how it ended, how Higgins is still not arrested is beyond me, but hopefully we have some fresh eyes on this case. It's not that hard to solve.
Well, and, like, interesting, Hank Brennan. So the sidebars, at one point, I did not include it in the open, but there's a whole thing where Brennan is defending. So it's Yuri Buchanan's sidebar, and they're talking about allowing the Brian Higgins text in, and Brennan is saying, well, it's no big deal. I mean, the defense is going to try to use it as a motive, but obviously the cops didn't think it was a big deal. So it's not a big deal, right? And that's kind of what Brennan is trying to argue. And it's interesting because over and over, and Brennan he's very wordy, he's very long-winded. And so you get a lot of information from him as he's talking, and you really get the sense that he believes these people are all innocent. They're being unjustly, by Turtle Boy, just raped over the coals completely, and that it's all unjust. And he's painting Jen as, oh, she's so devastated, and her state of mind that morning. She's not colluding with her family. She's with Carrie talking about how traumatized they are, this whole thing. And you can see that, you can kind of see that he really is fighting for that he really believes it, and that he doesn't believe that there's enough evidence to support that Brian Higgins was any kind of should have been a suspect in any way, which is just absurd.
It's such a weird situation that he's in because he's smart enough to figure this out, right? He's an advocate, and he has to advocate on behalf of the state in this situation. So he's not going to obviously reveal this, but he's smarter than most of these attorneys, and he can figure it out. He knows it. He's not dumb.
One would think so. I hope you're right. At Abacus Flinch 05 sends $5. Could the 432 steps be the women doing the chest compression? So yes, this is the theory that Emily put forth. The problem with that is that there is distance. So when steps, and Vince was the one that really drove this point home for me, when steps are allocated to the phone and they're not really steps, they're just like some kind of movement that's generating a step count, you won't see a distance reading on the phone, but we are seeing a distance reading, which indicates that there is likely actual steps being taken. So great question. And I think the answer is no, but yes, the phone might register steps definitely from chest compressions. So it's a good question.
Do we get to see distance on our phone, or do you have to have an extraction report from a Celebrate type situation?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't know
great
either.
question.
Again, I just look at the stupid steps, and I still don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I do know that the auto setting is that it will record steps whether you're tracking your health data or not.
Yeah.
So that's really weird, but I don't think so. I think most of this stuff you can only get from some kind of I'm sure if you knew how to download your phone into your computer, you could find all this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to have the visual if truly Emily was doing CPR, as opposed to what I think of her doing this test in her bed. Think about it. What do you see, Emily giving a pillow chest compression?
Of course I can see it. Yes, I love that she did it. It's amazing. Ben Gorpy is a member for 1 month. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Is Brian Higgins still working for ATF? Yes, it's a good question. And E, I'm not sure what E is. For ATF
Explosives.
and E? Oh, yeah.
Probably the coolest division of the federal government. Yeah, supposedly he is. We did a FOIA request for his information with regard to salary and things like that. And also, to let everyone know, we do have a pending request for Chief Berkowitz's reports. We're sending them. It's my fault. I don't have a check to send, but I'm going to send it today, Corey. She keeps reminding me. And we should have that pretty soon once I get them the funds.
Yes, if you need a check, I have a check. Just let me know.
All right, so I made the Venmo you the money. You could send the check.
That's fine. Yep. At order in the court 8667 sends $9.99. 11 p.m. Jeep, no plow. Caitlin and pick up with plow. Brian Higgins to take. I wanted to ask about that. Don't let me forget. Brian Higgins to take Colin Albert's truck to the PD to get the Jeep. DUI maybe comes back to the waterfall. John O'Keefe has a drink for Brian Higgins. He doesn't do beer. Are you coming here thirsty?
Whoa. Okay.
11 p.m.
Jeep, no plow.
No plow.
11 p.m. Well, 11 p.m. everyone's at the waterfall. Jeep has no plow. And Caitlin and pick up with plow. Caitlin.
Is there no plow on the Jeep at 11 p.m.?
No. I don't know. I don't believe so. I believe that there is.
How do we know that, though?
We don't.
I don't know.
I've never seen that Jeep. Oh, no. Sorry. We see it at the
Jeep.
PD later on in the day.
Yeah, at the end of the night we see it.
Yeah.
Okay. No plow. Caitlin and pick up with plow. Brian Higgins is to take Colin Albert's truck to the PD to get Jeep. But we see him pull in with the Jeep.
Yeah,
don't we?
True. Yep.
I think we see him pull in with the Jeep and then pull away with the Jeep. And I think it definitely has a plow on it.
Yeah.
DUI maybe comes back to the waterfall. John O'Keefe has a drink for Brian Higgins. He doesn't do beer. Oh, interesting. Are you coming here thirsty? Okay. So he's saying that Brian Higgins is asking him to bring alcohol, I think, right?
Yeah. Again, if they weren't ghosted, if John wasn't getting taunted by Brian Higgins as he's leaving for whatever reason, I don't think he's going to flip around and just say, hey, by the way, can you come here? I haven't spoken to you in 9 days and bring some alcohol. No.
Well, and also, go ahead.
These two were destined to fight.
And I don't know if it's true. I mean, Karen is saying that he has a drink in his hand, not a bottle. You would think that if he was going to bring alcohol, he'd bring a bottle. Also, in Massachusetts, there's weird liquor laws. Just FYI on that. Like, the bars have to close earlier than in most states. You can't buy liquor past a certain time. It's like very puritanical in Massachusetts still. Oddly, very oddly. So I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the Jeep before to know the answer to that. Mattier, beach caregiver. Sounds lovely. I want to be a beach caregiver too. Sounds $5. Sorry, I haven't seen the Higgins PD parking lot images yet. Will do today. You must have seen the Higgins parking lot images, right? You've probably seen them. You don't remember seeing them, but you must have seen them.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, you see Brian Higgins pull in with the Jeep. It's really the only video we have of the Jeep. We don't see it in front of the library at Canton, the Canton Library. So, yeah, she's seen it before.
I'm trying to think. That's during Yuri Buchanan's cross, right? I think?
Yes.
I think it's during it's right in the middle of Yuri's 3-day extravaganza. He is on the stand for an eternity, but it's actually it's pretty big testimony, Yuri Buchanan.
Yeah, he just does so horribly. I mean, the fact that you can say as an investigator that these texts weren't flirty, like you have to be able to concede things to have credibility. And he was just so bad. I know he doesn't seem like a bad person in real life, but I don't know what he thought he was doing, who he thought he was helping with regard to doing all this on the stand. It was so bad in terms of a technical performance.
I think it's like they just keep getting more emotional about it all, right? Like it's becoming more and more personal to them. And the more personal that all of this becomes, because it's affecting their daily lives more and more, the more defensive that they get. That's the problem with all these people. They just keep doubling down instead of doing what you were saying earlier, which is like, let it go. Let it go. Like, don't carry all of this, because then it's affecting your performance on the stand. Brendan thinks he's doing the right thing by using Yuri as opposed to Brian Tully, as opposed to obviously Michael Proctor. He thinks this is going to be his best bet at, presenting the police evidence, and it winds up backfiring terribly.
Yeah, and he probably was. And if you think about it, he excluded Tully for a reason. He excludes Brian Albert, obviously, for a reason. And Michael Proctor, obviously, he excludes him as well. I mean, those are smart moves by Brendan. But in the end, obviously, it didn't work out. But it works out in terms of justice. So even though you have a great prosecutor, you don't want someone being prosecuted because the prosecutor is amazing. You want it because of the actual evidence and what actually happened.
Yeah. So you think it was a good decision not to call Proctor? I guess, yeah, it has to be, right?
Yeah, based upon what's going on, I think the jury understood. I thought it was a mistake not calling Proctor by the defense, even if you have to lead him or not lead him with your question. You can get around it because he was so powerful in the first trial. But then, looking back, everything was Proctor was the big evil person, and it just turns out he's not. He's just not. In terms of the investigation, yeah, he's negligent, but really who killed John O'Keefe had nothing to do with Michael Proctor.
It's true. You're absolutely right about that. I think one of the things that Proctor does highlight, though, is, again, this whole thing about the reputation of these bullies in town. I think Proctor is kind of like an offshoot to that story a little bit, because Michael Proctor was never going to walk into or around Brian Albert and his home or his friends or his family and have any authority. He just was never going to. Michael Proctor next to Brian Albert is a nothing, is a nobody, and is not going to be intimidating in any way, shape, or form. So you're right.
That's a great point. And the fact that Higgins drops off papers and potentially exposing Higgins, which shows you how insecure and thin-skinned he is, and he's able to actually talk down Michael Proctor, who's technically investigating this, is very critical to the dynamic that we're watching.
That's a great point. Yes. For those people that don't know, at one point, Michael Proctor goes to the PD because that's where Brian Higgins has his office, and he drops off a testimony or paperwork for him. And later, or I guess, I don't know if it's in real time, but he reams him out in front of everybody for doing that.
Yeah, because I guess it wasn't covered or whatever it may be. But sometimes when you get to, you're not supposed to have the full covering. I think it may have even been the preservation letter. I'm not 100% certain.
Oh, it was the preservation letter. You're right. It was.
And you know what's weird? Remember when Higgins comes to court and he references the document that he has, and Alan Jackson asks him, well, does it have to do with this case? And he's like, I'm certain it does. I always thought it was the letter preserving the phone that he got in the mail, but it turns out, now that we have the sidebars, it wasn't anything to do with that. So what was that document? Was it a threatening
I don't know
message?
what it was.
Yeah, I don't know if
Do
we ever
we
get
know?
the actual... No, but it wasn't what I originally thought.
I don't know if we know what that was. You're talking
don't know
about
if
the one that he brings up that he got in the mail.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was.
He was so confident when he was
it
asked
wasn't
about
that.
it, like if it was related to the case. Oh, I'm pretty
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
of something like that. Whatever that was, it was such an overconfidence. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and Jackson, but it seemed to me like that was a deflection. Like he brought it up in that moment to try to get the attention off of whatever it was that Jackson had been asking him about. Like he was trying to bring him, he's like, I'm not going to talk to you about that, but I'll bring this up so that you are deflected by it. And it worked actually in that moment, which is funny. They're not stupid. I mean, I think the one thing I've also learned, and I learned also in part from Kevin, from our visit with Kevin, that, Brian Higgins and Brian Albert are real cops and actually are, tactical about how they approached this case and this cover up. And that's probably the only reason why they're not in prison at the moment.
Right. And because when you listen to them, it's almost as if like they've never done any investigative work, right? When Brian Albert's being questioned about any training that he had. And then I did a video showing that he was going after the Craigslist killer, and he knew about Wi-Fi. He knew about a lot of the things that generally a boomer wouldn't know about. And we forget that, when you're actually watching them testify, they know about what's going on. And thanks to Kevin, he disclosed to us that even big boy Brian Patrick Higgins is calling him from a block number or a number that he can't trace back. Did you follow the Adelson case at all?
Of course. Yes, very closely.
I didn't know if you did. So, as you know, the FBI was following Charlie Adelson, the son of Donna Adelson, who was accused and convicted of killing her son-in-law. The funniest thing is, when they set up the bump, which was the FBI interjecting itself into Charlie and Donna's life, Charlie gets a number from the FBI agent and he calls it back using *67, which has to be the most meaningless use of *67 ever. If you don't know, *67 blocks your number. Meanwhile, Charlie has no clue that the FBI is literally recording him. They gave him the number and they know exactly who. But I love how Charlie thinks he's going to outsmart him by *67. He tells his mom, I'll *67. He tells his girlfriend too.
Charlie's a trip. He's still to this day defending, his innocence, proclaiming his innocence. He's a trip, Charlie Adelson. I listened to a lot of their phone calls after he was convicted. It's fascinating. He starts blaming Wendy immediately. It's really interesting. I don't think we're done with the Adelsons yet. I think they're going to go after her. I think they are going after Wendy. That's my personal opinion, but
I made the same bet with do you know the bet I had with Miss Judy?
No.
That if it was a long time ago, but I said if she was so adamant that Wendy was going to get arrested, so I said by the stroke of midnight, New Year's Day, if Wendy's not arrested, you have to do our next show in a bikini. Now, I never thought Miss Judy would actually agree to it, but she did, and she lost a lot of weight, and she looks great. Like she always thanks me for that. Yeah, and she did her full show. If you go to AA Legal Focus, you can see Miss Judy in her bikini. She's a woman of her word, and she lost a lot of weight. She was grateful for the bet. And if I lost, I would have had done it. I forgot what I would have done it like shirtless with no hat on, like whatever. But yeah, so Wendy Jill is still out there.
That is very funny. Yeah, I don't know when. I think we're probably, it's going to take a lot longer, is my guess, because they're going to have to put together a case. They've given her immunity a number of times. I don't know how that's going to factor in. But
Ooh,
it
that
seems,
reminds me. Sorry to cut you off, but the Brian Higgins immunity, we never spoke about it. I don't know much about it, and maybe we shouldn't speak about it yet. Maybe we'll table that for next week. But apparently, he did have some form of immunity. They call it a proffer, which is a weird word. But basically, you can say anything as long as it's truthful, and that's the key. It has to be truthful in an investigation if they offer this to you, where you can't be held liable for anything that you're saying.
Right.
But I don't really know how that plays out. So let's say Brian Higgins gets a proffer, and he goes in and says, well, I killed John O'Keefe. Does that mean that they can't prosecute him on that? I mean, I don't know why I should know as the attorney, but
right. Yeah,
I don't know
why
either.
you're asking me. I have no idea.
What's your legal advice?
I don't know the answer to that. Probably not. I mean, I'm probably not. They maybe can't use his statement that he killed him, but they could still charge him on it, I'm sure, right? If they could find
very
enough
intelligent.
evidence.
Yeah, that's intelligent. I guess they're saying they can't use statement or anything derived from it, but if it's something separate, perhaps we shouldn't speculate. We should get the actual. Maybe we'll get a real attorney on here to give us the answer.
Yeah, we could. That would be really helpful. And I guess my question though would be like, what we don't know. Like we don't know. I guess we can't know really, right? Like what came directly out of the proffer.
Yeah, because if the FBI is just investigating potential cover-up or corruption in the police department, then perhaps Brian Higgins knows something because he's not technically part of them. He's sort of ancillary. Right. So who knows? I'm not sure what the issue was. But again, to me, as long as he's telling the truth, I don't think he'll ever tell the truth that I did this. I don't believe he would have done that, right? Because then he would perjure himself on the stand. So it is interesting. I know for certain that all these agreements are contingent upon you telling the truth in them.
Absolutely. Yes. Very true. At Cruising for Cruz sends $4.99. Please look over the Faust trial. I absolutely will. She was worse than Bev. Hey, politicians set in our trial. 60 motions filed, only 4 approved. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely. I definitely will. I know it's just this horrific injustice, and lots of people have, really, really been devastated by it. And then it's just like this horrible, horrible situation. It really seems like they just grabbed some black man off the street and said, oh, he did it. I mean, it's sort of, that's how crazy it seems. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't watch any of the prosecution putting on their case. Was there the defendant's DNA inside the girl?
So this is crazy. So the defendant's DNA was apparently came from a mouth swab, but the problem was that they lost, or they essentially switched it and said, oh, it must be a vaginal swab. It must not have been a mouth swab, and then said, so we think it's a vaginal swab. So people suspect it might have been planted. I don't know. But whose DNA was found was the boyfriend's, right?
Yeah.
And so that was very suspect.
Yeah, Miss Judy thought that because I worked with Howard Stern, I would appreciate that there was anal and vaginal semen in there. But like, to me, that's sort of suspect too, because I even asked her, I don't know if this was ever brought out, but like, was the victim on birth control at the time?
I have no idea.
Because like, that's a valid question I think most people can relate to, because generally either you're using a condom or you're pulling out, and it wouldn't be in at all, right? Because there's a huge thing when you're that age, especially you're not married yet. That guy was fucking weird though. The boyfriend, it just came across so weird. And brilliant job by the attorney. You never know what's playing behind the scenes. I don't know what this jury was made of. I don't know if it's a racial thing. I don't know, and I don't necessarily want to go to race. As an attorney, sometimes you can utilize these things, right? And your job is to win, and you can't be politically correct in the form that we're in, especially in criminal trials or any trials. Your job is to advocate on behalf of your client. So if you believe that a black person is more likely not to convict your client who's black, then you best be believing you're trying your hardest to get on the black person that would do it. It sounds
Of course.
racist, right? No, it's so racist. No, this is reality. This is what
Yeah,
you
of
have to
course.
do. We're obligated to do it to our death.
Yeah.
As long as it's ethical, we have to do it.
Of course. Yeah, no, of course. At Twigs the Gemini sends $2. Yeah, so John O'Keefe was knocked out on his feet, dead weight falling. That's a great
Better
point. I'm so
believe
glad
it.
you mentioned that. Yeah, because it had to have been with enough force to crush the back of his head, right? So we kind of know that he had to have been punched. That's a great point, Twigs. W Doppler 1 sends $4.99. It may be my phone. Oh, yeah. Okay. That it probably was, because it seems like it's working in general, but I don't know. Who knows with these things? Ex Muffin Man sends $10. Just started, so way behind. John's Ways app was plotted based on timestamps. Do we have the data on that back to Karen going past library? Can line up his arrival correctly then? That's a good question.
Yeah,
Does
it is a
say-
good point. But like if we do it from the route that we know Karen took, which we know, because those plot points that you're seeing, they don't follow automatically the street. They do follow the street. Everything lines up, like the slowing down. But more importantly, if you just do the general time from Canton Library to 34 Fairview, a normal route should take 4 minutes. And that's exactly what Jen McCabe did, literally like 4 minutes, almost to the dot. And then once you put in the route that Karen actually went, it's 9 minutes. And that includes the backing up, which you can do. Like you can go up the road that she missed right at the end, and it goes back down. It's 9 minutes. I mean, fortunately for me, because I was really going to apologize to Emily and say I have to open everything back up again because I didn't believe any of this. So.
That's very funny. We'll have to do that, though. I'm not sure. I just don't know because I haven't looked at it closely enough, but it's a good idea. Mark Langle, hi Mark, sends $9.99. Have you heard the rumors that said Higgins was overheard saying, all I did was pull the dog off? I think I have heard that. I've been hearing that a lot. I didn't know that it was a rumor that he said it, but I have heard this now for a while. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting because if I know you believe in the house, but if you believe that the dog was involved during the altercation or somewhat after that, then yeah, there's a chance on the side where Brian Higgins can try and save his ass by saying, oh, it was a dog or something else, and they're in the backyard or on the side of the house / backyard. I believe that they have to move this body eventually to the backyard, at least right behind the fence that's on the right side there, in order to keep it out of view. They can't keep it out in the front yard until they place it at the flagpole.
No.
That I know for certain. So whether it's upstairs, downstairs, in the garage, or on the side of the house or in the back. So there is an opportunity. I'm thinking like if you're moving John's body, which they have to do at some point, then does Chloe somehow start grabbing on the arm as it's being moved if it's only being moved by Brian Albert?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah,
anything is possible.
right.
Right? Yeah. I doubt it, though. I mean, just knowing German Shepherds, my guess would have been that the dog is not interested unless there's some kind of aggression. That would be my guess, because it's going to be perceiving a threat.
It's interesting, though, because we're saying this happens literally within seconds, so the threat's going to be eliminated pretty quickly in terms of John fighting back, because he's hit, knocked out, falls back, dies. He's not moving after that, and that's happening within seconds, so potentially. Now, here is my... I call it a stalker, but I don't necessarily... So this is a loophole lady with Eep Op Orc Thank you.
Oh.
And can I put in a plug here from my friend and your sort of connection,
Sure.
stuttering John Edward Melendez will be performing Friday night at Rodney's Comedy Club, which you're aware of. 7 o'clock is the start of the showtime. Gino Bisconte is going to be there. But more importantly, your good buddy Anthony Cumia will be there with me in the stands. Yesterday we called over to Rodney's live on the air because I thought there was going to be a huge event. And I said, I'm with my buddy John here, my client. How many tickets have we sold? They said 16. 16.
That's awesome.
And because Anthony had already purchased 3 of them, so I purchased one just to help him out.
That's
and
awesome.
so we only had 16. So if you want to hang out with myself or Anthony Cumia, if you're a fan of the old Anthony Cumia show, or what was it called?
Opie and Anthony?
Opie and Anthony, if you're a friend of that show, we'll be at Rodney's in New York City on this Friday, at 7 p.m. And apparently there'll only be a few of us there, so you can go take pictures with Anthony if you're friends or fans of the show. Bring his new
Good
book.
to know.
Yeah, and actually some of the old Stern figures, Hyperjeric will be there with me, along potentially Casey Armstrong as well. And of course,
Interesting.
Loophole Lady will be there. She's mad at me, but she'll be there.
Oh, interesting.
So there could
Very
be some
interesting.
fireworks there.
Well, welcome, Loophole Lady. You got to get through these because I actually have a hard stop today at 3. At order in the court, 8667, sends 199. Brian Higgins goes back to the PD, gets his clothes bag from P Up. Gets his clothing bags from P Up. P Up. From, I mean, I think that's probably true. Right?
Yeah,
I think
it
he does
could
go
be.
back there. Absolutely.
Now, does it go back there if does he go back there if John O'Keefe never shows up to the house?
I don't know.
I would say no.
I think what this person is suggesting here is that he would have changed his clothes, right? He needed to change his clothes. Certainly that's a real possibility. But if he's just going home, then it doesn't matter, right? So you would think that if he was going to just go get his bag, that he would just go right home, not to the police department first. I don't know.
Interesting.
Very strange. Excuse me, Sam, reread my message. I said sent, not seen. I'm sending you my telling edits. Oh, and it's pronounced Madeira. Oh, very easy. Thanks, Madeira. Okay.
I like Madeira.
So,
she's yelling at you, but paying us $20, and I appreciate
well, that was
again all
very
these
sweet
super
of you,
chats.
Madeira.
Yeah,
but
Madeira.
if she reread the message, it says I said sent, not seen. I don't know. We'll have to take a look really quick.
Pay
though.
closer attention next time, Sam.
But what I'm just curious about what the difference is, right? I'm looking for you, dear.
Edits. I'm sending you my telling edits. She's going to send them to you.
Okay. I'm just looking to see what the initial thing was, but I don't think it's here.
Well, either way, pay more attention to Madeira, please.
Okay, so mass accountability. Let's get you up here. Hold on, dear.
And again, thank everyone for the super chats. It does help us out.
Okay. Oh, Madeira says that you have excellent photo edits of the Canton PD parking lot images.
Okay. Got
thank
it.
you. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Well, that's outstanding. And I wonder, I can double check to see if they have gone through. I'm assuming you sent to the email. A-Hop Mess 499 says mass accountability. Your criminals breaking into cars 3 years ago. Timestamp 9 minutes and 12 minutes. Shows son Berkey driving CPD SUV with taillight out. Yes.
Wait, what does this mean?
So I think this is a reference to so Berkowitz's son, have you seen the taillight video? Okay, so that's the end of this, right? It shows him driving around with the taillight out.
No, hold on. I don't know what you're saying then, because I know Berkowitz's son. I know he has a son that was working as an officer there, and he's now resigned from his job.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what are you referring to with regard to the
So
taillight?
there's a video where I don't know who the person is that is pulling him over. Or I guess they're not really pulling him over. They're talking to him through their window. And I think it's just a citizen who is suggesting that he's driving around with a, blown out taillight and I think no license plate, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but his
and
dad's
so they're
the
kind
chief
of calling
police.
him out on it.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
His dad's the chief of police. What are you going to do?
Well, I don't think he was at this time. This was, I mean, maybe. Your criminals breaking into cars 3 years ago. Maybe it was. I'm not sure. We have to double check that.
What are these timestamps from, though?
I don't know. Maybe that video.
Oh, yeah, we got to get that video. I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's an interesting video. Hello again, Twigs. Loophole, you did a video saying a report about Karen's car said to be shattered. Was that satire or truth? Sam still believe Colin was involved?
No, that's from the report. It says to be shattered in quotes. It's weird. I don't know if it's a Freudian slip as opposed to the description being it's shattered. It literally is to be shattered. Actually, Emily and I covered that in one of the reports that we got before Corey's FOIA production of all those documents. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it was either Yuri's or potentially Proctor's report, but one of them said "quote unquote" to be shot. I wasn't joking around about that.
What? You don't remember which report? That would be.
It
really
had to be one of
interesting.
the early ons, like when they picked up the car. Something. Actually, it is when they pick up the car. I know
like
Emily's
the first
screaming.
one. Like the
Emily's
first
screaming
report.
right now. Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah, no, I still believe that Colin is there. I don't know what his level of involvement is, but I have no evidence from my perspective. I don't understand why people are saying Colin isn't there. If you tell me about Allie, I'll just roll my eyes because I know that Allie's not telling us the truth at all. I also know Colin isn't telling us the truth at all. And if he's picked up by Allie at 12:10, why don't we see them on the Canton Library video? Because they're supposed to be turning onto Washington at 12:10, right? Because that's when they left. It should be 12:14. It should be the exact minute that we are watching Jennifer McCabe's big SUV thing, at the light. It should be at that exact moment if everybody's telling the truth and the text messages are real and accurate, right? So I don't understand.
One thing on
why we
that
don't
is,
see-
I don't know if the route taken by Little Allie is going to be passing by the video that's on the Canton Library. So I'm not sure of that, right? I don't know.
Of course, except that I know that he lives off of Washington, and it would be really silly not to go that way. So unless you were actively trying to obfuscate cameras,
No, you
we're
can't.
talking
There's
about-
no way.
right?
You wouldn't know. There are cameras everywhere. There's no way to escape a camera, especially
Right.
not the Canton Library camera.
Right. And he lives on Washington Street, right? So it's to me, I just don't.
I'll check it out though.
You think Allie McCabe is going to take the back roads? I doubt it. So that's a problem for me. Is just we don't see them, and we certainly should. I don't know why we wouldn't, right? I don't know. Madeira Beach caregiver sends $2. Can't
Madeira.
find your email address. So let's.
Well, she just paid you $42. So let's.
SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. That should get it right to me. SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. And this is for the Canton. So send it to me, SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. And then what we can do is we can go through and show everybody the better quality videos or clips from the PD of Brian Higgins and the Jeep and the whole thing. Because those are really tough images. I mean, you have to sit there and watch. Your eyes have to adjust to the snow. That's very tough. Somebody had sent me some really interesting images of that whole thing in the past, but it's very hard to make out what's going on. So with any kind of level of accuracy. So definitely send them again, SB, I don't belong here at Yahoo. And I will take a look and then we can present them for next time for sure. And anybody, if you have stuff that you want me to take a look at, feel free to email me. I love when you guys do. I had somebody emailing me some really interesting ideas about stuff that could have happened this morning even. So I always try to take a look at everything and, play it out. Like, listen, any theory is fun to at least try to play out. So I appreciate it and I welcome it from everybody. Yeah. All right, I guess.
That's it. All right.
That's
so
it.
We'll see you back on Monday.
We'll see you Monday.
Well, we got
and
one more
hopefully-
question. Friday, again, if anyone wants to hang out with me and if you're fans of Anthony Cumia or Stuttering John, Edward Melendez from the Howard Stern Show, I'll be at Rodney's at 7.
Rodney's at 7 on Friday. Rudy sends $5 with Kelly Dever. Was it on Sunday that she saw Higgins and Chief in the Sally Port? It couldn't have been on Saturday. It's a good question. So the defense is painting the picture like it was Saturday night, but I agree with you. I think it might have actually been Saturday day, and that what she sees is them with a different car in the Sally Port. Because Kelly Dever has this weird desire or need to want to tell the truth, and it doesn't make sense that she would present this absolutely absurd story about a false memory and then be obtuse and accurate about being honest throughout the rest of the testimony, right?
Could she have
So
just
I
said,
think
I
you're
messed
onto
up.
something.
I
Go ahead.
just got the car wrong. Like, assuming what you're saying is true, I don't see why she's holding back and saying that. I probably got the car, unless she's trying to make the distance between Higgy Bear and Berkowitz as never actually being together during that time frame. Yeah, that's probably what she was doing. But she was so great. And Kelly, I know you're not the person that we saw on the stand. So yeah, Aiden's offering $10,000 to come on and show. You might as well take it and just join us. And you guys can all clear your names once the right person gets convicted. Colin's cleared if you had nothing to do with it. Kelly's cleared. Everyone's cleared once you convict the right person. Same thing for Jen McCabe. If you didn't do anything, help us convict the right person, and everyone will leave you the fuck alone. Guaranteed.
That's so true, right? Amen to that. And thank you so much for your $5. Thank you, everybody, for participating today. Thank you for all your chats. Happy birthday to our moderator, the best in the world, Denise. And everybody, we will see you again next Monday. Bye, Vince. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And we'll see you guys here next time. Bye, everybody.
It is the defense counselor's duty to protect the rights of the individual, as it is the prosecution's duty to uphold and defend the laws of the state. Justice for all. Only we have a problem here.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
This is me reminding you to like this video, comment, subscribe, like this video.